Imagine having a secret childhood memory of a house that will always be your sanctuary. Remember, Hua Dai, no matter what happens, this house will always welcome you, her grandfather whispers as the stars twinkle above them. He places a mysterious key around her neck, promising her a future she doesn't yet understand. Our little nugget holds onto that key like it's a lifeline, but even a magical key can't fill an empty stomach. But there's nothing in Grandpa's house. She sighs, already a tiny, adorable realist in a world of empty promises. Fast forward to the present, and life has decided to use our girl, Hua Dai, as a literal punching bag. She's been fired, dumped by her loser boyfriend, and is drowning in a massive 100,000 RMB debt. In her desperation, she remembers her dream and begs her grandpa, "Do you have gold, money, or did you win the lottery?" But grandpa just laughs in that annoying way only ancestors can. "Ha ha ha, I have nothing like that," he says, crushing her hopes into fine dust. However, he starts and you just know there's a catch coming. "I have a clink." Bang, the dream shatters as a heavy bag falls right onto our poor heroine's head. Ugh, talk about a rude awakening. Hua Dai wakes up on a public train, dazed and probably concussed. "What do you have?" She yells out loud, still chasing the phantom riches from her dream while looking like a total drooling mess. "What the hell, it was just a dream," she mutters, realizing her reality is much more depressing than her sleep. She looks down at her lap, her heart heavy with the weight of her failures. But wait, in her hand, she's clutching the exact same key from her dream. "I still don't know what this key is for. Surely Grandpa bequeathed something to me," she wonders as the train rumbles toward her fate. Her bag is a literal graveyard of unpaid bills and arrears notices. As the train reaches the final station, she's officially at the end of her rope. "If things get really bad, I can just sell the house," she thinks, trying to stay positive even as her stomach lets out a monstrous growl. "I'm so hungry, but I have to endure it," she tells herself, the struggle for survival being very real for our girl right now. She's down to her last few coins and needs to save every cent for a bus ticket to the remote Bai Lin Village. Looking into her wallet is a tragedy in one act. She's got exactly 5 yuan and 6 jiao left. As she's walking, some kid runs right into her, bang. The kid fumbles his snack and a delicious, saucy sausage goes flying into the air. Our heroine watches it fall in slow motion, her hunger-driven instincts kicking into overdrive. Her hand moves faster than a ninja on caffeine. Grab as she catches the sausage midair like a total pro. "I'm so hungry, I want it." Her inner demons scream as she stares at the forbidden snack. She's literally drooling over a child's sausage while the kid looks up in awe, thinking she's a hero. "Hey, wait, it's happening again." She panics, her eyes widening in horror. The sausage is literally stuck to her hand. This isn't just hunger, it's her bizarre, uncontrollable condition. See, our girl suffers from aniamania, a compulsive buying disorder that manifests physically. If she touches something she wants, her hand literally refuses to let go until she pays for it. When will this troublesome body be fixed? She cries out, looking like a total weirdo holding a sausage in the middle of the street. It's a curse, plain and simple. If she wants it, she's stuck with it, and she's already broke. Now she's in a dilemma. If she buys this sausage, she won't have enough money for the bus ticket. "Will I have to walk to the village?" she frets. But the hunger wins. She closes her eyes and takes a bite. "I'll eat it," she decides, embracing the chaos. The little boy is just standing there, absolutely confused as this strange lady eats his food. Naturally, the kid starts wailing. "Wah, give me my sausage," he cries, forcing our poor heroine to open her precious wallet. "Don't cry, I'll pay you for it," she sighs, handing over a 5 RMB bill while her heart bleeds for her lost savings. But wait, as the kid turns to leave, she realizes she's being scammed by a toddler. "What?" the kid says flatly, "our girl isn't letting this go. I gave you 5 RMB, that sausage was worth 2 RMB at most. Give me 3 RMB change," she demands. The kid's face says it all, he's dealing with a crazy person. "Ah, I hate that brat," she screams later, trekking through the mud in high heels like the chaotic queen she is. She curses her debt and her stupid illness. "I couldn't care less about the change if I wasn't so broke," she rants to the trees. Her poor feet are dying in those red heels, and the terrain is definitely not city girl friendly. What an unlucky pair of hands, she sighs, looking at the tools of her own destruction. Ever since her aniamania started, her life has been a mess. She even wonders if there are witches in these mountains who can lift the curse. Suddenly the air changes, a shimmering light catches her eye. Something smells really nice, she notes, her nose leading her toward something hidden in the woods. "Found it," she whispers, stumbling upon a mysterious gated property. It's an old, weathered building that looks like it's seen better centuries. The sign reads Jin Convenience Store. Our girl is disappointed. "It's so old, I don't think it'll sell for much," she laments. She pushes open the creaky gate, stepping into her grandfather's legacy. She takes out the key, hoping this is the lock it was meant for. Clack, the key fits perfectly and turns in the lock. But the door doesn't budge at first. It's not opening," she mutters, feeling like even the house is rejecting her. Then with a slow creak, the door finally swings open. She steps inside, her heart racing. She gasps, sensing she's not alone. Out of the shadows emerges a mysterious woman with long, flowing black hair and an icy gaze. Their eyes meet in a moment of pure electric shock. Who is this stranger in her grandfather's house? Who are you? The air crackles with tension as our heroine realizes her inheritance might already be occupied. A mysterious key hangs on the wall, holding the secrets to a house our girl desperately needs. But first, she has to deal with the current tenant, a girl named Long who looks like she stepped out of a period drama. As they sit across from each other, our girl can't help but judge the local fashion, thinking Long's high-collared outfit is way too conservative for the middle of summer. Honestly, the hate is getting to her and she's already losing her patience. In typical petty heroine fashion, she starts comparing herself to her rival, noting that her eyes are definitely bigger. She even does a quick mental check and decides she's got the better body too, internally screaming, "Yeah, I win." But the victory is short-lived when the conversation turns serious. Our girl demands to know how her grandpa's house ended up in Long's hands. Long calmly explains that the old man was her teacher and left it to her in his will. HMPH, how do I know that will is even real? She snaps, slamming her hands on the table in a fit of disbelief. But Long isn't intimidated. She hits back with a truth bomb that leaves our girl speechless. Your family hasn't visited this village in 10 years, what would you know? Ouch, talk about a reality check. Our girl realizes she's being a total brat, especially since she only showed up after the funeral. Long asks the million-dollar question, why is she visiting now? Our girl starts sweating bullets because she can't exactly admit she's drowning in debt and needs to sell the house. She needs a cover story and she needs it fast. Actually, I'm an author, she bluffs. She claims she needs the quiet village life to find stimulation for her next masterpiece, hoping this lie will let her stay for free. To her surprise, Long's eyes light up with pure admiration. An author, Miss Hua Dai, that's so cool. Long gets uncomfortably close, begging to read her work. Panicking, our girl hands over her phone, showing off some cringy story she wrote back in high school. Long starts reading with intense focus, but within seconds she's out cold, snoring right at the table. You have no taste, our girl yells, offended that her literary genius acted like a sleeping pill. Long wakes up dazed, simply stating her name is Long as if that explains everything. As the night goes on, a strange, familiar scent fills the air, making our girl feel uneasy. She tries to shake off the weird vibe, telling herself to just calm down. Feeling a bit guilty about the house situation, she decides to offer some rent. She digs through her bag and pulls out 3 coins. Here, 3 RMB for the rent, she says, acting like she's being incredibly generous. Long just stares at her unimpressed. Getting defensive, our girl offers to throw in 6 more jiao, basically pennies, and tells her that's the final offer. Long pushes the money away, but her eyes land on a limited edition phone accessory instead. I just want this one, she says softly. Our girl can't believe her luck. She thinks she's totally scammed this clueless village girl by trading a cheap plastic charm for a roof over her head. Feeling smug, she jokingly asks, now that you have a guest, shouldn't you kill some chickens to welcome me? She was definitely joking, but Long takes things very literally. All right, I'll get the chicken right now, she says, her expression turning terrifyingly blank. Suddenly, it's 11 p.m. and Long's standing there with a massive meat cleaver, looking like a low-budget horror movie villain. Wait, don't kill any chickens, it's way too late for this. Our girl screams, absolutely terrified. Long blinks, looking tired and confused. She apologizes, saying she's used to being in bed by 9 p.m. and has never actually had guests before. Our girl tells her to put the weapon down and forget the chicken entirely. As Long heads off to prep a bed, our girl watches her go, still shaken. She sighs, realizing that living with this girl is going to be a total nightmare. God knows how I'm going to deal with her, she mutters, wondering what she's gotten herself into. Our girl is struggling for her life with this massive suitcase while Long just watches her suffer. Finally, the silent beauty steps in, simply saying, I'll take it. Before Hua Dai can even process the offer, Long grabs the heavy luggage with just one hand like it's a bag of feathers. Our heroine is totally shook. Not only is this girl freakishly strong, but she's taller too. Ugh, damn it, there goes my dignity as her senior, she grumbles to herself. Long leads her further into the house, explaining that she can use the master bedroom that used to belong to her master. As they walk, Hua Dai catches a whiff of something amazing and asks, is there incense in the house or something? Smells really good. But Long's reaction is weirdly stiff. No, she replies bluntly, leaving our girl wondering why she's acting so strange about a simple question. They finally reach the room, which Long promises is kept clean. But when she goes to grab a blanket, she pulls out a total masterpiece of classic countryside fashion, a blindingly bright red floral print. Before Hua Dai can even roast the design, Long just faceplants onto the bed and goes completely motionless. Is she seriously asleep already? Hua Dai wonders, staring at the girl who just shut down like a low-battery robot. Since the bed is occupied by a sleeping beauty, Hua Dai ends up crashing on the floor, determined to uncover the secrets of this house sooner or later. When she wakes up the next morning, she's confused to find herself tucked into the bed under that fabulous floral blanket. Wait, why am I on the bed? She asks herself, rubbing her eye. That's when she notices a fresh bandage carefully placed on her foot. Looks like she's actually pretty thoughtful, she realizes with a small smile. But the cozy vibes don't last long because her stomach starts growling. She heads out to find some breakfast, but instead, she hears the heartbreaking sound of someone sobbing coming from a small nearby shack. Long, is there any food? She calls out, peeking through the door. But what she sees inside makes her entire world stop. She steps back in pure horror, her heart hammering against her ribs. In the shadows, she sees dozens of realistic, blood-red eyes staring back at her. Long is there, holding a young boy, but the child's back is covered in those terrifying, blinking eyes. Our girl is so spooked she loses her footing and trips backward with a scream. She's only been in this village for a single day, and she's already stumbled onto a nightmare she can't unsee. The boy bolts, but he drops something important in the rush. Our girl tries to call out, but he's already gone in a flash. She notices a small pocket watch that slipped out of his bag during the chaos. It tumbles through the air, and as she picks it up, she realizes the owner is long gone, leaving her alone with his treasure. While she's sitting there wondering what to do with this clearly important item, a pair of feet approach silently. A voice suddenly asks if she's okay, and she looks up to see the mysterious woman standing over her. Our girl is so startled she nearly jumps out of her skin, letting out a panicked Hua. Wary and totally on edge, she stammers, are you gonna kill me now to keep the secret, or what? The woman doesn't look like an assassin though, she just calmly holds out her hand and demands, give me the watch. Our girl hands it over, her hands shaking like a leaf. She starts spiraling internally, wondering if she's actually growing attached to the trinket already. She's totally dazed and confused, watching as the woman pulls back. Then the woman drops a bombshell, you were sick after all. Our girl is absolutely offended, how dare you say that about me? She yells, ready to throw hands because she feels perfectly fine. The woman keeps her cool, explaining that she didn't mean it as a typical insult. She tells her to listen closely because she's about to reveal the dark secret of Bai Lin Village. Our girl can only stare in shock as the truth starts to unravel. Apparently, this village is built on top of a powerful energy source called the Long Mai. Every child born here is affected by this energy from the moment they take their first breath. If they grow up with abnormal emotions or thoughts, that energy manifests in strange physical ways. It affects everyone differently, and that's exactly what happened to the boy from earlier. You see, after his father died, his mother remarried and had a new baby. Suddenly, he wasn't the center of her world anymore, and the jealousy began to rot him. Desperate for any kind of attention, he started stealing books from the shop on purpose. Because of his thievery, literal eyes began to grow on his back. In this village, that's what it means to be sick. Our girl is reeling, the word sick, echoing in her mind. Then the terrifying realization hits her, am I as well? The woman confirms her suspicions, mentioning she had a feeling about this since last night. Our girl is floored. Last night. The woman reminds her that she mentioned a good smell in the room. It turns out that fragrance was actually the medicine in the room. Here's the kicker, only the people who are sick can actually pick up on that scent. It's a homing beacon for the afflicted. That's how the sick find their way to her clinic in the first place, guided by their own symptoms. As the gravity of the situation sinks in, our girl looks at this mysterious healer and asks the only question that matters, who are you? Our girl remembers her grandpa as just an ordinary man who loved his garden. He spent his days wiping sweat from his brow and tending to his plants, living a simple life. But little did she know back then that he was harboring a massive secret. Me, I'm your grandpa's student, the mysterious doctor reveals, dropping a total bombshell on our heroine. Our girl is stunned but wastes no time asking, then can you fix my hand as well? The doctor examines the strange red thread and admits she's never seen anything like it before. She warns that a full recovery will take time, but she has a temporary fix. Please wait a minute, she says, leaving our girl completely confused. The doctor walks over to a medicine cabinet and pulls open a drawer. But instead of herbs, the drawer is filled to the brim with water. Our girl watches in horror as the doctor reaches into the liquid. Suddenly, a massive frog jumps out with a loud ribbit. There's a frog in the medicine drawer. She screams, staring at the giant-eyed creature. To her surprise, the frog is actually kind of cute, but the doctor tells her to hold out her hand. Like this, she asks, still a bit skeptical. Suddenly, the frog's tongue shoots out and it's absolutely revolting. What the hell is this? She shrieks as the creature does its work. In a flash, the disgusting growth is gone and the frog has done its job. The doctor holds up the detached pendant with a smug smile, saying, done tilde. Our girl is relieved but traumatized, complaining that the cure was way too gross. The doctor hands her a cloth and tells her to wipe her hands. It must have gotten dirty when you fell on the ground earlier, she notes, being surprisingly observant. Once our girl is all cleaned up, the doctor prepares to leave. Now then, I'll go prepare medicine for the patient, she says, moving toward the door. Our heroine is offended, shouting, you dumped all this information on me and now you're just gonna leave? The doctor just asks if she needs anything else, leaving our girl's brain totally fried. She realizes that as crazy as her life is getting, the guy with eyes on his back has it way worse. As she looks around the room, something on the table catches her eye. It's a plant covered in shimmering white berries. Wait, are those pearls growing on the branches? She gasps, realizing her grandpa really was a genius. The doctor explains that if you pick one, another grows back instantly. Talk about a convenient way to get rich. Since the doctor is busy with the medicine, she asks our girl to handle dinner. Our heroine agrees with a confident smile. "I'll show you what adults like me can cook, Tilda," she brags, ready to flex her skills. She tells the doctor she'll see her at dinner and heads off. The doctor thanks her, but as soon as the door closes, her expression changes. She starts walking away, but something is clearly wrong. Suddenly, her heart begins to race and she clutches her chest in agony. "Pain," she gasps, collapsing as her eyes glow with a strange light. Little does she know, our girl is standing right outside the door, watching the whole thing with a look of pure concern. "Wah, the water's overflowing." Our girl screams as the kitchen turns into a total disaster zone. Hua Dai is a hot mess, juggling a raw chicken and burnt veggies while searching for the salt. Long walks in and calmly asks, "Miss Hua Dai, how is dinner coming along?" Our heroine panics, hiding her massive cleaver behind her back with a guilty look. "It's going great," she chirps, frantically plating the mysterious gray lumps. Long just stares, thinking she looks exactly like a puppy waiting for a treat. Long steps in close, making our girl gulp and nervously back away. But it's not a confrontation. Long just reaches out and plucks a stray feather from her hair. "A feather," she notes simply, leaving Hua Dai completely flustered and blushing. Dinner is served, and Long tries to be the mature senior, telling herself to keep it together. Then she sees the food, a bowl of gray soup with a very dead-looking chicken head staring back. It honestly looks more like a cursed potion than a meal. Hua Dai takes a brave bite, but her soul immediately leaves her body. This isn't just bad cooking, it's a spiritual attack. "What the hell is this?" she screams internally, convinced the chicken's hatred was condensed into the meat. She's literally gagging, fighting for her life to swallow a single bite. She desperately reaches for water, feeling like she's about to pass out. Meanwhile, Long is just eating it. She's munching away with zero expression while our girl watches in horror. What, can she not taste anything? She wonders, sweat dropping. Long pauses, sensing the gate. What's wrong?" Hua Dai stammers, terrified of the answer. Long has a sudden aha moment and pulls another feather out of her own mouth. "I think I'll be cooking from now on," Long declares, delivering the most polite burn in history. After the dinner disaster, Long handles the dishes, her mind wandering to the mysterious medicine and if it will work on him. Suddenly, a sharp throb of pain shoots through her arm. She clutches her chest and arm, her expression turning dark and troubled. Whatever secret she's carrying, it's literally starting to hurt. Later that night, Long is feeling drained from the roller coaster of a day and decides a shower is the only way to relax. She slides the bathroom door open, but she isn't alone. "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were in the bathroom," she cries out, turning a deep shade of red. She tries to hide behind the door, looking like she wants the floor to swallow her whole. Hua Dai, however, thinks this is peak entertainment. "It's just a bath, why is she so flustered?" she wonders as night falls over the village. The young boy lies awake in the dark, his eyes wide with anxiety. He's haunted by an odd fragrance and the terrifying reality of the many eyes staring out from his own back. While the stars shine above, the water drips silently in the dark. Hua Dai stares into the distance, realizing she never really questioned why Long was so protective of her privacy, but she knows there's a much bigger worry on the horizon. Outside, the quiet house hides secrets that are finally starting to boil over. Chang stares at his reflection in the mirror, the horrifying reality of the eyes growing on his back finally sinking in. He's visibly shaken, quickly pulling his shirt over the curse as if he can hide from the truth. "Damn it, it's already been 3 days, he mutters, the realization hitting him like a freight train that everything from that day was 100% real. He peers through the shelves, watching the world move on without him. His heart is filled with a dark, desperate need for attention. He even confesses to stealing books just to get a reaction, but nobody cares. His own mother is too busy with her new baby and her husband to even glance his way, leaving him screaming internally, "Why aren't you looking at me?" Suddenly, he spots someone else in the store. He whips around, startled by the presence. He's left wondering if what he just saw was even real or just a trick of his mind. The only person who even acknowledges him is Grandma Kai. But the poor lady is a bit deaf and thinks he's still in 4th grade, even though he's already in middle school. He wonders if she'd even bother calling his mom if he got caught stealing, or if he'd just remain invisible to everyone. He stands there looking absolutely defeated by his own existence. Back in reality, he opens the door to find his mother hovering over the new baby, Lingling. She asks if he doesn't have school, and when he mentions it's summer holiday, she barely processes it. Cheng is fuming inside because it's only June. His mother has completely lost her sense of time and logic because she's so obsessed with that child. She brushes him off, telling him to watch Lingling while she goes to get medicine. He watches her leave with a cold, resentful glare. He walks toward the crib, his shadow looming over the innocent infant. Dark thoughts begin to swirl like a poison in his mind as he stares down at the baby. "It's all your fault," he whispers, the resentment boiling over. "If it wasn't for you," he thinks, his eyes darkening with a dangerous intent. But just as things take a dark turn, the baby reaches out and grabs his finger. Cheng freezes, the shock visible on his face. The little one just laughs happily, completely unaware of the danger it was in. Horrified by the monster he was becoming, Chang gasps, What am I doing? He can't handle the guilt and bolts out of the house. He runs until his lungs burn, trying to escape the darkness within him. Leaning against a wall and drenched in sweat, he wonders if he's doomed to live the rest of his life as a freak. And just to remind him of his nightmare, the eyes on his back burst open, staring out from under his shirt. Morning brat, a voice calls out and he nearly jumps out of his skin. It's the mysterious blonde lady from yesterday. He panics, thinking she's going to expose his secret or start blackmailing him. Even Grandma Kai wanders by, confused as to why the second grader is out of school. Our heroine smirks, teasing him for wearing so many layers on a boiling hot day. He tries to act tough, insulting her ridiculous sandals, but she just brushes it off. She tells him to cheer up because she actually brought something for him, medicine made by Long. She pulls out a red packet, acting like a total queen as she tells him he should probably kneel and thank her first. Chang's eyes light up with hope. Could this finally be the cure? She opens the packet to reveal a shimmering black powder and leans in close. Without warning, she blows the powder right into his face. Chang screams and collapses, clutching his throat in agony. Our girl's smug expression vanishes instantly into a look of pure horror. She realizes something went horribly wrong and starts panicking, wondering if she's being framed for murder. Good grief, Chang, you're choking again. Grandma Kai sighs as the poor kid looks like he's about to meet his maker. Our heroine is absolutely losing it, screaming, Grandma, do you know what we should do? Grandma is way too chill, casually mentioning that this kid has been choking on his food since he was a toddler and she was always the one to save him. She starts heading toward them with the urgency of a snail on vacation. Literally, the screen says super slow steps. Our girl is visibly vibrating with stress at the lack of speed. She finally snaps, grabs Chang herself, and shouts, the kid's gonna be long gone before you reach us. She hauls him over to the old lady, begging her to hurry because the boy is fading fast. Grandma finally delivers a solid thwack to his back, and a mysterious glowing orb comes rolling out onto the floor. Chang starts coughing his lungs up as air finally returns to his system. See, I told you, Grandma says, acting like she didn't just almost let him expire. She strokes his face, promising he'll be fine now that she's fixed him up. Just then, Sister Long steps into the light, holding that strange, shimmering pearl. Our heroine is relieved to see her, but Sister Long is lugging around a massive sack. She looks at the boy and asks, Chang, have you anything to say to Grandma Kai? Our girl peeks into the bag and is stunned to find it stuffed with books. Chang looks totally busted, wondering where she even found all of them. He hangs his head and mutters a tearful, I'm sorry, to the old woman. Grandma looks at him with a heavy, reflective gaze. She tells him to listen closely and asks if he remembers how he used to always haunt her shop asking for roasted corn. He was a lonely little guy who never played with the other kids, choosing to hang around her instead. In a flashback, we see a tiny Chang visiting Grandma Kai's stall after school. She always had a fresh cob of corn ready for her favorite little brat. He'd grab it, yelping because it was piping hot, and spend his afternoons rambling to her about his day. He'd tell her about his weird head teacher and the classes he was taking, from math to English. But one day, Grandma found a page torn out of one of her books. Chang had a massive, innocent smile on his face, holding up a paper boat he'd folded from the page. Grandma Kai, look, I've made a boat for you, we'll go sailing someday. But Grandma wasn't moved by the gesture. She screamed at him for ruining a book she needed to sell to survive. A little kid like you can't go sailing anyway, she barked, smacking him on the head. Chang didn't back down, shouting that he would go sailing because his dad was a great sailor. He ran off into the distance, vowing to change the way she saw him. Grandma's voice is thick with regret as she admits she's always hated herself for hitting him that day. After that fight, he never came back to visit her. He had rushed home that afternoon, only to find a crowd of neighbors gathered at his door. He saw his mother's devastated face as she clutched his father's pocket watch. She admits she knew he took the books to make boats for her from the very start. She realized he just wanted to make a big boat for her. She tells him she can't bring herself to smack him this time, because if she did, she's terrified he'd disappear for another few years. Chang breaks down into messy, heartbroken tears. Sister Long gently places the father's pocket watch on the table, telling him to stop crying. She then turns to our heroine and says it's time for them to head out. Our girl is still processing everything, asking if the kid is actually cured now. Sister Long holds up the glowing orb between her fingers, her expression unreadable. This here, she says firmly, is the cause of the illness. This is the cause of the illness, Long explains, pointing out the source of the mystery. It turns out a crystal in the throat absorbs abnormal energy, and that's what's been making everyone sick. Hua Dai is skeptical, noting that the medicine Long provided gave the patient a pretty violent reaction. Long casually drops a bombshell. That black powder was just a catalyst that causes suffocation. If Grandma Kai hadn't stepped in to save him in time, the boy would have died in minutes. Our girl is absolutely reeling, realizing she almost accidentally deleted a child from existence. Long explains that an illness of the heart requires an introspective cure. Basically, the kid had to face his own guilt. To help the process along, Long reveals she pulled a full-on heist, breaking into the boy's house to get the stolen books back. I broke the lock with just a little twisting, she says with the most innocent face you've ever seen. Hua Dai can't believe it, this girl is out here committing actual crimes and smiling about it. But then the mood shifts into something much softer. Long praises her, saying she's truly the granddaughter of Shifu. Flustered by the sudden warmth, our girl tells her to drop the miss and just call her by her name. Long agrees, even promising to stop calling her a brat. The Miss Hua Dai before me now is really cute, Long says, flashing a smile that hits like a truck. Our girl's heart starts doing Olympic gymnastics as she tries to hide her blushing face. Stop smiling, let's go home, she shouts, acting like a total tsundere to hide her embarrassment. She wonders why she's blushing so hard, thinking she must be losing her mind. Long keeps teasing her by repeating her name over and over. You don't have to say my name every time you reply, Hua Dai snaps, but the damage to her heart is already done. Later that night, the vibes are cozy as they finish a meal together. Hua Dai looks like a satisfied puppy after a good feast, and Long finds the sight surprisingly endearing. Suddenly, our girl remembers her own problems and asks if Long can cure her as easily as she did the brat. Long gets serious, explaining that every illness is different and she needs to find the root cause first. Hua Dai secretly laughs it off, thinking the cause is just her unstoppable urge to buy every beautiful thing in the world. Long isn't judging though. I believe you, she says, complimenting Hua Dai's beauty and worldly experience. Our girl is left wondering what is up with this kid and her smooth lines, but as night falls and the clock ticks away, the reality of her situation sets in. I cannot forget the reason I came here, she reminds herself. If she doesn't sell this house and get those pearl plants, she'll never be able to pay off her massive debt. Driven by the need to return to her luxury lifestyle, she sneaks out of bed in the middle of the night. She creeps through the dark hallway, praying that Long is deep in dreamland. She reaches for the door to the room with the plants, her heart pounding against her ribs. But as she swings it open, her stomach drops into her shoes. Long is sitting right there, wide awake and surrounded by a mountain of books. She caught me red-handed, our girl screams internally, frozen in shock. Long looks up, totally confused, and asks, weren't you in bed? Why did you come here? Our girl is sweating bullets, trapped in the gaze of the one person she didn't want to see. Our girl is absolutely losing it because Long is still awake, and apparently she's been up all night. When asked why she's burning the midnight oil, Long simply smiles and says it's because our heroine mentioned she wanted a cure for her hands earlier. She's been scouring the medical books her master left behind, hoping to find a miracle cure. Our girl is stunned that this girl would go through all this trouble just because of a passing comment. Just look at her. Long is a literal zombie, scribbling notes while her eyes are basically rolling into the back of her head. Our heroine watches her, biting her lip in a mix of frustration and guilt. Finally, she can't take it anymore and slams the table, screaming, "You idiot, you won't get anywhere if you carry on like this." Long is startled by the sudden outburst, while our girl fumes, thinking that this little idiot is way harder to deal with than she anticipated. But don't worry, she's still got a plan to teach her a lesson soon. Morning arrives with the sound of chirping birds, and we find Long passed out at the table from exhaustion. Our girl finally returns, but she looks like she's been through a blender. Long wakes up in a panic, asking, Hua Dai, what happened? Did you fall? Are you hurt? Our girl tries to play it cool, but Long is already ready to run for the medicine cabinet. There's no need. Our girl insists, spinning a lie about losing a bear keychain while grocery shopping and getting dirty looking for it. Long looks at her with those big innocent eyes, asking if she's really okay. When Long expresses relief that she isn't hurt but sadness over the cute keychain, our girl internally screams, how was it cute? She quickly shoves the groceries at Long, telling her to go cook while she waits in the backyard. Once she's alone, she sits down and pulls out her real prize. It's a train ticket to Bai Lin Village, bought with the stolen grocery money. She looks at the ticket, feeling a bit smug that it was so easy to trick Long. She wonders why the girl wasn't even suspicious that the grocery basket only contained wild herbs. But then her eyes drift down to her leg. There's a fresh band-aid covering her scratch. She remembers how Long has been tirelessly taking care of her since she arrived in the village. For a second, the guilt hits her like a freight train, and she realizes she's doing something pretty despicable. She tries to shake it off, clutching her head and reminding herself that everything here, the house, the pearl plant, was left to her by her grandpa. She convinces herself that he grew that expensive plant specifically so she could pay off her debts. Time to get out of here with the plant while Long's not around, she tells herself as thunder rumbles in the distance. Later, Long notices our girl looks like she's carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders and asks if something is bothering her. Our girl realizes she forgot to keep her villainous poker face on. Long, being the sweetheart she is, assumes it's still about the lost keychain and offers to go look for it herself since she knows the village better. Our girl can't believe her luck. The path is being cleared for her escape. The rain starts pouring as our girl begins packing. She decides to leave the heavy luggage and makeup behind. She only needs the pearl plant, which is worth millions. She stuffs the plant into her bag, feeling ready to reclaim her life. But as she turns to leave, her eyes land on the desk. It's the pile of notes Long spent all night working on just for her. She stares at them for a long moment, the silence of the room punctuated only by the rain. She tries to harden her heart, complaining about how inconvenient the countryside is when it rains. I need to hurry up and leave before Long comes home, she tells herself, adjusting her bag. But then she stops. She looks out at the torrential downpour and wonders if Long even brought an umbrella. She tries to brush it off with a whatever. But the second she opens the door, she runs straight into a soaking wet Long. Long looks absolutely miserable, shivering and drenched to the bone. Well, I still couldn't find it, Long says weakly. Our girl looks down at her bag, knowing full well the keychain is actually still attached to the phone in her pocket. Long admits she's feeling dizzy and needs to lie down. Our girl watches her go, suspecting she's caught a fever, but tries to rationalize it by saying a strong person like Long wouldn't get sick just from some rain. She puts on her shoes, determined to finally walk out that door. She tells herself that if she doesn't leave now, she'll never get another chance. She stands at the threshold, the rain splashing at her feet. But suddenly she lets out a frustrated scream. Damn it, this makes me look like such an evil person. She tosses her bag aside and rushes back into the house, yelling, "Hey, are you okay?" as she heads straight for Long's room. A sudden heavy thud echoes through the room as Long collapses right in front of our girl. Hua Dai's eyes go wide with panic as she screams out her name, rushing to her side. Long is completely out of it, her breathing shallow and ragged as she struggles to stay conscious. She looks absolutely miserable, her face flushed with a dangerously high fever. "Long, are you okay?" Hua Dai cries out, desperate for a response. She tries to lift her up, grunting under the weight because, let's be real, our heroine isn't exactly a bodybuilder. "Hold on to me," she commands, pulling Long close to support her. She manages to haul her over to the bed, her heart racing as she sees just how bad the situation is. As she lays her down, she realizes Long is practically vibrating with heat. "How did you suddenly get a fever?" she gasps, wondering how a little drizzle outside could do this much damage. Long can only manage a weak groan, clearly in a world of pain. Knowing she has to act fast, Hua Dai decides she needs to get those damp clothes off to help her cool down. But as she reaches for the buttons, a trembling hand shoots out and grabs her arm. "No, don't," Long whispers, her eyes filled with a desperate, fearful plea. "Our girl isn't having it," snapping back. "Why are you still being this stubborn?" There, etched across Long's skin, are shimmering, unmistakable scales. Hua Dai's breath hitches as she notices the same strange patterns creeping down Long's arm. She wonders if this wound is the source of the fever, but the reality is sinking in fast. This isn't just an illness, there is something much more shocking hidden right in front of her. "What are these scales?" she whispers, her voice trembling as she looks at the girl she thought she knew. Long's eyes flutter open, weakly calling out Hua Dai as she reaches for her. But the sight is too much for our heroine. In a moment of pure instinctual fear, she retreats. She turns tail and runs, the sound of the door slamming shut echoing like a death knell in the quiet room. Left all alone in the dark, Long stares at the ceiling, the old familiar bitterness washing over her. "Am I going to be alone again?" she wonders, the silence of the room feeling heavier than the fever. Her mind drifts back to a painful memory of her childhood, where kids would scream, "There's a monster," and run away in terror the moment they saw her. Back then, her shifu would step in, pinching the bullies and scolding them for their lack of manners. He'd tell them to pipe down and go home, acting like nothing out of the ordinary had happened. He had a secret weapon, a special plant that, when crushed, could rewrite memories from the last hour. He'd laugh it off, glad he knew the trick, before turning his attention to the sobbing little girl hiding in the shadows. Little Long would stand there with scales visible on her legs, her heart breaking. "Shifu, will I never be able to make friends because I'm a monster?" she'd ask through her tears. He'd kneel down, calling her his precious student and wiping away the snot. Even when she insisted that no one would ever accept her, he made a solemn promise. He swore he'd find a cure, and even if he grew old and useless, he promised that someone else would eventually find their way to her side. "When that person comes, you will know they are the one," he'd whisper, telling her to wait patiently and stop crying. But suddenly a cool, damp cloth is pressed against her forehead. Her eyes snap open in shock. Hua Dai didn't leave. She came back, looking tired but determined, proving that maybe, just maybe, Shifu wasn't lying after all. Our girl is in a total panic because she couldn't find any medicine in the house to break Hua Dai's fever. She had to swallow her pride and track down that bratty kid from the bookstore to get supplies. It's a miserable, rainy night, but she isn't leaving her friend's side. Flashback to the bookstore kid handing over a small bag, saying, "This is all I have." Our heroine is actually being nice for once, which immediately makes the kid suspicious. "You're suddenly being really polite. Did you do something bad?" he asks. Our girl immediately loses her cool and starts pinching his cheeks, screaming, "You brat, don't say weird things like that." The kid huffs, claiming he can just feel that they are both the same kind of thief. Despite the bickering, the kid hands over the medicine with a dead serious warning. "If you do anything bad to Sister Long, I'll never forgive you," he yells. Our girl is offended, shouting back that she has zero plans to hurt her. Back in the present, she carefully applies a cooling patch to Hua Dai's forehead. She's feeling incredibly guilty, whispering a soft, "I'm sorry," thinking Hua Dai will never truly accept her after everything. Hua Dai stirs, looking confused as she wakes up. Our heroine immediately gets defensive to hide her emotions, snapping, "Don't ask for my reasons, you're just a naive fool, so just lie there and take my apology." Hua Dai tries to protest, but our girl isn't having it. "Just stop talking, this isn't easy for me either, damn it." She gently touches Hua Dai's arm, scales and all, repeating her apology. Hua Dai looks at her with those big, sad eyes and asks the heartbreaking question, "Don't you think I'm scary? Or some kind of abomination?" Our girl's response, she just leans in and says, "Your body is cool and comfortable to lay on," before promptly passing out from exhaustion. Hua Dai can't help but smile, thinking that maybe this is the person her master promised would eventually appear for her. The next morning, things are back to their usual chaotic energy. Hua Dai jokes that if our girl hadn't accepted her scales, she would have just used a memory-erasing drug on her. "It might affect your intelligence, but it can't be helped," she says with a mischievous grin. Transitioning to the next chapter, our girl is trapped in a terrifying nightmare, gasping for air as she feels like she's drowning. "Somebody save me," she screams in her sleep. She's jolted awake by the bookstore kid bursting into the room, shouting that Brother Yishin is coming back today. Our girl is a mess, clutching her head and wondering what that weird dream was all about. The kid explains that Sister Long went to the hills to gather herbs since they're broke. While they wait, a glowing butterfly catches our heroine's eye, leading her toward the storage room. She gets a mischievous idea and asks the kid how much he knows about what's hidden in there. "Turns out we are the same after all," she says, realizing they're both dying of curiosity. They sneak inside and our girl starts teasing the kid about a fragrance that only smart adults can smell. Suddenly, she hears something moving in the corner. They look down to find a round, black fur ball shivering on the floor. "What is this? So cute," she squeals, wondering if it's a little fox. But the second she tries to pet it, the thing gets startled and goes wild. In the chaos, the little charcoal ball lunges and bites the kid right on the backside. "Ouch, it hurts," he cries out. Our girl can't help but laugh at his misfortune. "Your butt," she giggles. She tries to be helpful and insists on checking the wound for infection, but the kid is absolutely mortified. "Pervert," he screams, clutching his pants. The bickering is cut short when a deep voice calls out from the entrance. "Long, I'm back." A tall, handsome man with a smirk stands there carrying a bag of supplies. "I brought a lot of good stuff for you," he says, and it looks like things are about to get even more complicated. Chang's face lights up as he spots a familiar face, shouting out for Brother Yishin. The tall, mysterious man ruffles the kid's hair, noting how much he's grown, but our girl is standing in the background with a major case of the "who is this guy?" face. Yishin's eyes immediately lock onto Hua Dai and the atmosphere gets heavy fast. He leans in way too close for comfort, examining her face while our poor heroine breaks into a nervous sweat. After a tense silence, he simply mutters, "That's it," leaving her completely baffled. As Yishin adjusts his collar, Hua Dai decides he's officially a weirdo, but their awkward encounter is cut short when Sister Long finally returns. Sister Long is genuinely surprised to see him back. Yishin flashes a charming smile, telling her they're going to have a massive feast tonight. He presents a bag full of fresh seafood he caught out at sea, making Chang drool. The kid begs to stay for dinner, but Yishin explains he has urgent business to attend to first. He gives Sister Long a lingering pat on the head, promising to come back and see her tomorrow. The chemistry between those two is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and Hua Dai is low-key annoyed by how good their relationship seems. But the cozy vibes evaporate the second Sister Long turns around with a terrifying dark aura. "Did the two of you sneak into the pharmacy?" she demands, her voice dropping an octave. She doesn't wait for an answer before pinching their cheeks until they start blaming each other for the idea. Suddenly, Sister Long stops and stares at Chang's backside. "PFFT, your ass is blooming." She laughs, and she isn't kidding, there's a literal flower growing out of the kid's pants. She whips out a knife with a terrifying glint in her eye, telling him to stay still. Chang is absolutely terrified, screaming in horror as she harvests the plant. She explains that a spring bug caused this and hands him a flower pot, telling him he has to wear a diaper for the next 3 days. If he doesn't, his entire backside will turn into a small flower country by morning. Chang is dying of embarrassment holding the diaper, especially with Hua Dai smirking at his misfortune in the background. "Do I really have to wear it?" he whimpers, but Sister Long gives him zero room to negotiate. While the kid sulks over his ruined social life, Sister Long heads off to prep the seafood. Hua Dai can't stop thinking about that Yishin guy, though. She pulls Sister Long aside, demanding to know exactly who he is. As they dig into the shrimp, Sister Long explains that Yishin is a seaman who spends most of his time away. Chang chimes in, calling him a respected older brother, but Hua Dai just deadpans the fishman. She asks Sister Long point blank if the guy is her boyfriend, causing the poor woman to drop her trays in a total state of shock. Sister Long turns bright red, waving her hands and insisting it's nothing like that. She claims they're just like siblings, but Hua Dai isn't buying it, thinking Sister Long clearly has zero romantic experience. Sister Long notices our girl isn't eating and looks a bit lifeless. She gets worried, leaning in to check if Hua Dai caught her cold. She places a gentle hand on our girl's forehead, but Hua Dai insists she's in perfect health. Chang tries to crack a joke about idiots not catching colds, but he gets a swift paw to the head for his trouble. Sister Long then takes Hua Dai's hand, her expression softening. If something is wrong, you can just tell me, she says, wishing our girl would finally open her heart to her. The sweet moment sends a poof of a blush across Hua Dai's face. She tries to play it off, but her mind is still stuck on Yishin. She admits that the man gives her a really bad feeling, almost like he already knows who she is. By the time they finish dinner, the sun has set over the mountains. Sister Long tells Chang it's time to head home before his family worries. The kid looks uncharacteristically nervous, asking the girls if they can walk him back. Hua Dai mocks him, asking if he's a scaredy cat. But Chang isn't joking, he looks genuinely spooked. He explains that his path home goes right through the school. And recently, he whispers, his eyes wide with fear, there were some stories about our school being hunted. The girls freeze, the word hunted hanging in the chilly night air. Actually, I don't want to believe that. Our heroine muses trying to play it cool. But it's hard to ignore the facts when the whole class saw it with their own eyes. Just a few days ago, the classroom door flew open by itself with a sharp snap, leaving everyone frozen in place. There was no one in the hallway, but a terrifying shadow was clearly visible behind the curtain. Look at that silhouette, it's like someone is hiding right there, watching them from the shadows. Ever since then, the school has turned into a total horror movie. Creepy handprints appeared on the blackboard, and strange watermarks shaped like feet were found trailing through the corridor. Look at this damp footprint. It's like an invisible guest is walking the halls while no one is looking. Even the messy chairs and tables were found perfectly tidied the next morning as if by magic. Our girl just laughs it off, dismissing it as a typical campus rumor that every school loves to hype up. She's actually excited about the mystery, dragging a terrified little boy along to investigate for themselves. The kid is shaking in his boots, asking why he's the only one being forced to come along. She gives him a confident thumbs up, claiming their friend Long had much more important business to attend to. Cut to Long, who is currently busy devouring a massive mountain of food at a local restaurant. The brave duo begins their investigation, their shoes creaking ominously on the wooden stairs. The hallway ahead is a void of darkness and flickering shadows. They slowly make their way up, with our girl leading the charge into the unknowns. She tries to look tough, but you can see the sweat starting to bead on her forehead as the atmosphere thickens. Watilda, let's go back, the kid wails, clutching her arm for dear life. A loud snap echoes through the air, and she desperately tells him to calm down, blaming it on typical summer noises. But then a door suddenly swings open and they both lose their minds. A series of loud bangs approach them from the darkness, sounding like heavy footsteps. The sound of running feet thunders down the hallway, coming straight for them. They turn to run but slam headfirst into a solid chest with a loud BAM. Our girl groans, clutching her nose in pain while the kid looks like his soul has completely left his body. It turns out to be a tall, dark-haired guy who looks completely bored by their antics. He pulls out his phone, telling someone on the other end that he's finally arrived. He stares down at the two of them, holding his phone as they tremble in fear at his feet. He pats the kid's head, asking what kind of weird game they're playing at this hour. Suddenly, Long arrives on her bike, looking totally unimpressed by the scene. She tells the guy to take the kid home while she deals with our drama queens. Get up, she commands, her patience already wearing thin. Our girl is so spooked that she hops onto the handlebars instead of the back seat. She clings to Long's neck, crying that she was almost eaten by a female ghost. Long looks like she's regretting all her life choices as our girl continues her frantic sobbing. But wait, in the background, that white curtain is still floating ominously in the school window. Our girl spots it and her face turns pale with fresh terror. Stop talking nonsense, hurry up. Long snaps, trying to keep them moving away from the school. She struggles to pedal, complaining that it's incredibly hard to ride with someone sitting on the front like that. The bike wobbles dangerously as they navigate the rocky path home. He notices the kid is carrying a potted plant and asks where he got those flowers. The boy nervously explains he just picked them from the side of the road. The guy gives a mischievous smirk, teasing the kid for being so easily frightened. He reaches out and pats the kid's backside, noting how soft it feels. No, that's not what you think. The kid screams, terrified by the sudden misunderstanding. Our girl Hua Dai is looking absolutely wrecked, peering through the window like a vengeful spirit while asking, "You're good with ghosts, how do I look?" She's having a total midnight meltdown because she got locked out, screaming that she's just a hurt cute panda who needs human attention. But Long Long isn't moved by the drama, bluntly telling her, "You're scaring people, go back to sleep." As Long Long tries to rest, she can't help but tally up all the chaos Hua Dai has brought into her life, from unwashed dishes to literal bicycle accidents. She stares at the ceiling, wondering if she's lost her mind for letting this girl stay. It's a strange feeling. After being alone for so long, having someone break into her peaceful life is actually a little scary. She questions what she's truly afraid of, realizing it's the thought of accepting someone new. If she lets Hua Dai in and then loses her, she'll have to face that same heart-burning pain she felt when she lost her master. Meanwhile, Hua Dai is pouting in her own room, calling Long Long a meanie, while lamenting that the world is cold and merciless. She huffs into her pillow, but then a rare moment of self-awareness hits. She realizes she's been depending on Longlong way too much and has basically been a professional freeloader. Am I taking advantage of her because she has no one else? She wonders, her conscience finally kicking in. She looks at her little panda keychain and decides she can't just keep hanging around like a burden. She worries that her presence might even be ruining Longlong's fate. Stressed out, she covers her head with her floral blanket, tucked in tight while whispering, "What the hell am I supposed to do?" The next morning, Hua Dai rolls up to breakfast with massive dark circles. When Longlong asks if the ghost hunting got to her, she defensively claims it's just smoky makeup. Their friend Yishin joins them, jokingly remarking that smoked meat is commonly eaten while looking at her exhausted face. Hua Dai looks completely troubled, even as Yishin comments on how well the two girls are getting along. Hua Dai is drowning in guilt, feeling more useless by the second. Then Yishin drops a truth bomb that hits like a physical blow. "How long are you going to eat and drink here for free?" Hua Dai nearly chokes on her drink, looking like she's been stabbed through the heart. "I didn't eat and drink for free," she protests, though her case is weak. Longlong tries to help by mentioning Hua Dai once offered her $3, but she refused it, which only makes Hua Dai look more pathetic. Yishin just laughs at the nostalgic sight of them bickering before heading off to the docks. As he leaves, Hua Dai watches him go, annoyed that he's always in such a hurry. She knows she needs to solidify her reason for staying so she doesn't end up in debt. She's terrified that old fox Yishin will expose her as a useless guest in front of Longlong. Suddenly, a light bulb goes off. She's got it. Later, Longlong hears a suspicious clack 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 sound and worries that Hua Dai decided to leave because of what Yishin said. But our girl isn't quitting. She pops up with a mischievous grin and a bag slung over her shoulder. "I thought of a great idea to make extra money. Come with me," she chirps, looking far too excited for whatever scheme she's just cooked up. Whatever it is, it's bound to be a disaster. The school hallways are buzzing with the latest gossip. Apparently, the place is crawling with ghosts. But before the kids can even finish their ghost stories, our girl and her mysterious partner appear on the scene, looking like they just stepped out of a high-stakes ritual. "Don't worry, you can leave it to us," she says with a smile that's a little too bright for a professional exorcist. The local kids immediately recognize them as Hua Dai and Sister Long, but the boys aren't exactly impressed. One of them has the audacity to call her a witch, and our girl immediately snaps. "Huh, what did you say? You're still wearing diapers?" She snarls, showing off that terrifying temper we've come to love. She quickly moves on to her real target, the principal. The poor man is terrified of parent complaints and is practically begging for help. Sensing a payday, our girl quotes him a steep price of $998, promising that the school will be ghost-free by tomorrow morning. The kids watching from the sidelines are absolutely traumatized, realizing that greedy adults are way scarier than any supernatural entity. Once they're alone, her partner pulls off the mask to reveal a much more timid girl who's clearly struggling with her conscience. "It's not good if we deceive people like that," she whispers, but our girl is a pro at mental gymnastics. She insists that exorcism is basically just a high-end comforting service. If people think the ghost is gone, they won't be afraid anymore, so it's a win-win. To make the scam look legit, our girl starts scattering white powder all over the floor to put on a show. She even starts stomping around to create fake footprints that will prove a ghost was there. "Show the principal these tomorrow," she cackles. "It'll definitely scare him bald." Her friend can only stare blankly, reminding her that the principal is already bald. But the comedy routine ends abruptly when her friend points a shaking finger at the ground. Right next to their fake marks is a glowing, unnatural footprint that definitely wasn't part of the plan. "Quick run," our girl screams, grabbing her friend and bolting for the exit. The bravado is gone, replaced by pure, unadulterated terror as she starts sobbing while they sprint. Her friend is in even worse shape, wailing an apology to the universe for making fun of the principal's dead hair roots. They can hear a rhythmic clack-clack echoing behind them, getting closer with every step. They eventually trip and slam into the wall, cornered and exhausted. With her friend fainted and the shadows closing in, our girl tries to summon one last bit of courage. "It's up to me now," she tells herself, staring into the dark abyss of the school canteen. The empty halls and dripping faucets feel like a horror movie set. Every drip sounds like a heartbeat. Huddled in the corner, our girl finally breaks down. "I was just trying to make some money. Why am I treated like this?" She cries, regretting every life choice that led to this moment. As the door in front of her begins to creak open, she squeezes her eyes shut, certain that it's all over. Our girl is having a serious internal crisis, realizing that every time she tries to make a quick buck the dishonest way, things go south fast. Why are we still stuck in this situation? Am I going to hurt her again? She wonders while staring blankly. She knows she needs to clean up the mess she's caused. Suddenly, she snaps and grabs a heavy bag, screaming, "Come here, jerk. Listen, when you're 150,000 in debt, a little ghost is the least of your worries." She launches the bag with everything she's got, and it hits with a massive bang. But wait, if it's a ghost, it shouldn't have a physical body, right? To her absolute horror, a misty, humanoid shape starts forming in the dust, and she definitely heard it hit something solid. The girl in red steps in, her eyes wide with shock. Could it be? She gasps, sensing something is very wrong. Our heroine is terrified, yelling for the thing to stay away. But the girl in red isn't backing down. She lifts a rolling pin and sends flour flying everywhere. Our girl closes her eyes, bracing for the worst. What's wrong? A voice calls out through the chaos. The girl in red manages to catch the rolling pin midair, her eyes sharp as she stares down the figure. You're not some ghost, she declares firmly. The entity tries to make a break for it, but she's not letting him go that easily, screaming for him to stop. The chase is on. I might be able to help you, she yells while sprinting after the clattering sounds. She bursts through the door, scanning the area, and spots a familiar face. Brother Yishin, she screams, grab that person. Yishin doesn't hesitate, lunging forward to intercept the invisible runner. There's a massive boom as they collide. Yishin holds onto the figure, looking completely unimpressed. Hey, aren't you that weak teacher? He asks. The ghost turns out to be a pale, white-haired man with glasses, looking absolutely bewildered. The girl in red rushes over, asking if Yishin is all right. She's stunned to see the man has actually taken physical shape now. The poor guy grabs Yishin's shirt, desperate for validation. You can see me, can you recognize me? He begs. Yishin just sighs, of course I can, I'm not blind. The man starts sobbing, overwhelmed that someone finally acknowledges his existence. As he cries, a mysterious glowing pearl rolls across the floor. As expected, the girl in red says her suspicions confirmed. They pick up the strange bead. Our blonde heroine finally catches up, panting and confused. What happened? You caught it? She asks. Everyone goes quiet as they examine the man. They stare at the bead in their hands, wondering what its connection to this man is. Our girl is shocked to see Yishin there, asking why he showed up. Yishin, being his usual cool self, just leans back. After hearing something unbelievable, why not take a look? He retorts. Our heroine is not amused. She spots the ghost cowering on the ground and loses her mind. She grabs him by the collar, shaking him like a rag doll. So it's you? How dare you pretend to be a ghost to scare me? She screams. The poor guy is terrified, stammering, I'm not pretending to be a ghost. Suddenly everyone can't see me. He explains that no one can hear him either, leaving our girl completely floored. Huh? She shouts, realizing this situation is way weirder than she thought. Everyone calls him Mr. White, but his real name is Tang Hanmu. The poor guy has a presence so weak that people literally walk right through him without noticing he's even there. He's treated like he's completely transparent, even when he's shouting for an apology. It's honestly heartbreaking to see him so frustrated. It gets even worse because he's actually the class teacher, but when he tries to start the lesson, the kids just talk over him as if the podium is empty. The students are totally creeped out, wondering who is playing tricks on them since they can't see the man standing right in front of the chalkboard. He bangs on the desk, screaming, can't you guys see me? Instead of seeing their teacher, the students are convinced the room is haunted by a literal ghost. To try and regain some sort of presence, Hanmu actually started leaning into the rumors by pulling pranks, like moving the curtains. Suddenly, his disappearance is the main focus of everyone's conversations, especially with "Help Me" written ominously on the chalkboard. The kids are terrified, convinced it's a paranormal event that can't be explained. Hanmu looks down, thinking that maybe he's just better off being a ghost, and offers a sincere apology to our girl for the trouble. Long is skeptical and asks how Yishin even knows this invisible guy. It turns out, back in the day, Yishin was a bit of a troublemaker who failed his exams and begged Hanmu to pretend to be his parent for a school conference. Long can't help but snicker, teasing him by asking, so were you pretending to be a mother or a father? The haunting incident only began 3 days ago when Hanmu's illness took a turn for the worse, and Yishin is the only person in town not affected because he actually recognizes the man. Yishin looks pensive, wondering if this meeting is really just a coincidence. He decides it's time to wrap things up since it's getting late. He tells Hanmu that tomorrow, he needs to go to the principal and explain that he's the ghost before the school loses its mind. He then turns to our heroine, telling her she should head back early too. Long thinks Yishin showed up at the perfect time, but our girl narrows her eyes, wondering just how much that man actually knows. As they walk away, her gaze lingers on him, sensing there's more to his story. Under the starlight, Long asks if our girl can really cure an illness without any medicine. Our heroine explains that every patient is a unique case. Long starts to get into her feelings, thinking about how she needs money for a house and how there's still no trace of the treasure her grandpa mentioned. She looks over at our girl. She realizes that maybe the treasure wasn't gold or jewels after all. In this miserable world, a girl as pure and simple as our heroine is the real treasure. Long starts to spiral a bit, wondering why she even wants to stay and if it's too difficult for her to keep living this way. She worries that she's just a burden who causes constant trouble. But our girl doesn't hesitate for a second. Of course not, she says, looking her straight in the eye. She tells Long that she's actually much braver than she gives herself credit for. Plus, Long has a massive appetite, which means they never have to deal with leftovers. Long pouts, thinking that sounds more like a complaint than a compliment. Despite the teasing, for the first time ever, Long feels like she's finally home. Our girl admits that the mountain is usually way too quiet, and she's genuinely happy to have someone to wait for her in the evenings. They walk side by side, their footsteps in sync. Suddenly, Long perks up and declares she's decided to find a job. She wants our heroine to live a good life filled with rich food and comfort. Our girl just smiles, looking at her friend with so much warmth. In that moment, Long knows one thing for sure: she only wants to stay by her side. Regardless of the sounds of insects at night or the lack of streetlights, being together is enough. Outside, a storm is raging with lightning splitting the sky. But the real disaster is happening inside, where our girl is rotting away in bed, staring at a list of soul-crushing job options like noodle shops and bookstores. "This is so boring," she screams, flailing around because her job hunt is going absolutely nowhere. She's having traumatic flashbacks to every boss who told her she wasn't suited for the work just by looking at her. One guy was even ranting about a secret recipe passed down through generations, while our poor heroine just wanted a paycheck. Frustrated, she kicks her legs and lets out another soul-shattering ah. Suddenly, her dramatics get the better of her and she rolls right off the bed with a loud thud. "Ouch," she groans, rubbing her head, but then she spots something tucked away in the shadows. She peeks under the bed frame, her curiosity piqued. There's a wooden box hidden back there, so thick with dust that it clearly hasn't been touched in ages. Our girl is shocked. Does this mean even Long, who cleans this place religiously, didn't know it existed? She reaches out to grab it, noting that the thing is heavy enough to be made of solid wood. She manages to haul the heavy chest out into the light. After a few dusty coughs and a quick wipe down, the wood underneath actually starts to shimmer. Her eyes widen as she realizes what she's found. "If I'm not wrong, this is golden nanmu," she whispers, recognizing the precious wood that never cracks or warps. This stuff is high-grade material used by collectors to preserve the most expensive calligraphy and paintings. There must be something incredibly precious inside. She cheers, her eyes turning into little sparkling gems. She tries to pry the lid open, but it won't budge. That's when she notices a tiny, intricate keyhole. Wait, she remembers something. Could it be that the key Grandpa gave me belongs to this box? She takes a nervous gulp, her heart racing at the thought of the masterpieces that could be hidden inside. If she finds the right scrolls, she could sell them for a fortune and never worry about a job again. She fumbles through her bag and pulls out the key. It fits perfectly, and with a satisfying asterisk click asterisk, the lock gives way. Holding her breath as she peeks inside. But as she looks at the contents, her face goes completely blank. "Toys," she mutters, staring at a box filled with trinkets and childhood memories. She picks up a little toy plane, feeling a bump in her heart as the memories flood back. Deep in the box lies a colorful toy piano. "Isn't this my favorite piano from when I was little?" she asks, her eyes sparkling with a different kind of light now. She tries to tap a few keys, but it's hilariously out of tune after years of neglect. A sad, sweet smile crosses her face. She remembers how her grandpa was the only person willing to sit through her famous songs and cheer like she was a prodigy. This box wasn't full of gold, it was her grandpa's treasure chest of her own childhood. "That annoying old man, making me get excited for nothing," she whispers, her voice thick with emotion as she stares at the toys. But then a light bulb goes off. She looks at the toy piano again and realizes, right, I can play the piano. She stands up with renewed fire in her eyes. "I can be a music teacher at the school." Despite the rain still pouring outside, our girl is ecstatic. She runs toward the door, shouting for her bodyguard, Long. She's finally figured out her career path, but then she stops. Long's not here. A muffled, pathetic voice drifts from the bed. "Here." She looks down to see a massive lump under the blankets. "Dragon roll sushi," she teases, poking at the shivering mound. She starts laughing her head off at the scary guard. "What a coward, you're actually afraid of ghosts and thunder." She flops down to hug the blanket roll, still mocking him. But suddenly, a hand shoots out and grabs her. Before she can scream, she's pulled roughly into the sushi roll. Her heart does a massive asterisk badump asterisk as she finds herself face to face with a very distressed Long. The stoic, powerful man is currently a mess of tears, clinging to her like a lifeline because the thunder is scaring him half to death. Looks like our heroine has to put her teaching dreams on hold to play babysitter for a terrified dragon. Our girl realizes this is the perfect moment to play the big sister role and offer some comfort. She reaches out a gentle hand, pulling the mysterious Hua Dai close. "If you're scared, big sister will accompany you," she whispers with a sweet smile. The atmosphere gets heavy and intimate as they lock eyes. Hua Dai's heart is absolutely racing, badump. But don't worry, our heroine's heart is doing the exact same thing. Trying to play it cool, Hua Dai huffs, ahums, "I'll pity you and accompany you." She even offers a single finger for our girl to hold onto. "I'll lend you a finger to hold," she says, finally letting a small, genuine smile slip through. It's a scene straight out of their childhood memories. Our heroine starts reminiscing about the box of toys her grandpa made for her that's hidden under the bed. A wave of sadness hits her as she admits, "I really miss him." Hua Dai wonders why she only came back after all these years. Our girl explains that her parents claim she had a near-fatal accident when she was little. They were so terrified that they whisked her away to a distant place to live. Back then, she fought them tooth and nails, demanding to know why they wouldn't talk about her grandpa. It wasn't until he passed away 10 years later that her dad finally told her the truth. Looking back, she realizes her parents were probably just trying to protect her from the trauma. Hua Dai asks what kind of accident it was, but our girl can't remember. All she has is a scar on her back, which she proudly reveals she turned into a handsome black dragon tattoo. She laughs it off, but deep down, she feels like a disappointment for getting sick the moment she returned. Hua Dai isn't having any of that self-pity and grabs her hands firmly. I will definitely cure you, she declares. Touched, our girl hopes that Hua Dai's own mysterious scales will be cured soon too. As the rain pours down outside, Hua Dai eventually drifts off to sleep. Our girl watches her, thinking she looks just like a lonely child who's been enduring those terrifying, thunderous nights all by herself. She wonders how many nights Hua Dai spent wrapped in a blanket, silently suffering. Suddenly, the peace is shattered by a desperate scream for help. Both girls bolt upright, wide awake. Hua Dai asks if she heard that, and our girl nods, thankful she didn't notice how close they were just a second ago. They decide to head downstairs to investigate, thinking it might be a patient in need. The sound of sobbing leads them to the door. Outside, a pair of tiny feet are standing in the rain. They swing the door open and shout, "Coming." Standing there is a soaking wet, crying little girl. She begs them to help her, and our heroine immediately worries the poor kid was being trafficked. But the kid snaps back with an attitude, screaming, "I'm 26 years old." Our girl is so shocked she practically faints on the spot. A few minutes later, the toddler is sitting at the table, aggressively munching on corn like a hangry hamster. Hua Dai tries to take the food back, calling her a stingy little girl, but the stranger won't let go. Our heroine is still processing the math. "A while ago you were calling for help and even said you were 26 years old, she points out. The stranger introduces herself as Yao Ling, a nurse from the school infirmary who definitely turned 26 back in May. She explains her bizarre condition. A few days ago, she started waking up younger and younger every single day. At first, it wasn't obvious, but now she's losing years by the hour. Our girl realizes the gravity of the situation. If this keeps up, Yao Ling will literally disappear. Hua Dai gets serious and asks if anything unusual happened before the change. But Yao Ling insists she didn't do anything out of the ordinary. Hua Dai suggests maybe the problem is just that she ate too much, while our girl snarkily asks if she committed murder or arson and wanted to turn back time. Yao Ling is absolutely fuming at their ridiculous theories. Hua Dai just shrugs and agrees with our girl's teasing, leaving the little nurse totally speechless. An ethereal voice echoes through the void, explaining that a desire so strong it can turn back time is exactly what caused this chaotic time disorientation. Our poor little heroine Lingdang is left dazed and confused, wondering if her deepest wish really was to rewrite the past. But the voice is firm, "If you can't tell me what your wish is, I can't help you." Cut to a rainy night at the apartment. Our blonde queen Hua Dai is already losing her patience. "Why are you letting her stay the night?" she huffs, looking at the 5-year-old version of Lingdang. Honestly, Hua Dai's "this child is so troublesome" energy is a total mood. Yao Ling, being the literal saint she is, offers to sleep on the floor so it's not too cramped. But Hua Dai isn't having it. She grabs Yao Ling's arm, face turning beet red as she yells, "It's not cramped." The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as they stare at each other, and Hua Dai immediately retreats under the covers in a blushing mess. Go sleep," she squeaks, her heart doing backflips against her ribs. While the girls are dealing with their rom-com feelings, Lingdang is trapped in a memory. She sees her big brother sneaking out in the middle of the night. "Big brother, where are you going?" she asks, worried mom will scold him. He just smiles, pressing a finger to his lips. "SHH tilde Lingdang behave, don't tell mom," he whispers, handing her a candy to keep her secret. He promises he has something important to do and disappears into the dark. Lingdang reaches out, screaming for him to stay, but he's gone. She wakes up in the present, wailing at the top of her lungs. Hua Dai stomps over, looking like she's ready to fight a toddler. "Are you crying for milk this early in the morning?" she demands. But the situation is way weirder than a hungry kid. Yao Ling realizes they don't even have milk powder. As Lingdang keeps crying, Yao Ling notices something terrifying. The girl is regressing even further. "Looks like we're running out of time," she notes grimly as Lingdang turns into a full-blown baby right before their eyes. Talk about a huge crisis. Hua Dai panics, holding the tiny baby and begging her to remember her desire. The baby just babbles about being hungry for her brother. In a desperate move, Hua Dai hands her a brush. "Can you write?" she asks. The baby tries her best, struggling with the ink. She slams the paper down, shouting, "Brother, big brother face." The girls lean in, expecting a masterpiece, only to find a faceless stick figure. Yao Ling finally puts the pieces together while being bullied by the babe. "You mean you can't remember your big brother's face, so you want to go back in time?" she asks. The baby's big eyes well up with tears, confirming she hit the mark. They decide to head to Lingdang's old home to find clues. But of course, the neighborhood gossip mill is in full swing. As they walk through the market, the local Karens start whispering. Girls nowadays are really amazing. They sneer, judging Hua Dai for carrying a baby. They're practically writing a fanfic about her secret life right there on the sidewalk. Hua Dai freezes, the embarrassment washing over her. But then our girl snaps. She snatches the baby from Yao Ling, eyes blazing with fury. What are you fussing over? She screams at the gossips. So what if this is my illegitimate daughter? Is that a problem? Absolute legend behavior. She struts away with AHMPH, leaving the old lady stunned and Yao Ling completely speechless. Yao Ling watches her go, a soft smile growing on her face. She catches up, and as they walk off together, Hua Dai realizes that having Yao Ling by her side makes everything just a little bit better. The door is slightly ajar, and it looks like someone's already inside, making it impossible to sneak in through the main entrance. Our girls realize the window was left open, but they have no idea which room belongs to their target. Our heroine and Long manage to slip inside, but they're immediately on edge as they realize they're in a stranger's house. Suddenly, a dog starts barking its head off and a pair of feet appear at the door. An older woman looks them up and down, demanding to know who these new faces are. We were just passing by," our girl stammers while the dog decides it absolutely loves her. The woman isn't buying the passing by act and immediately starts lecturing our heroine on her terrible parenting skills. It's not good for her neck. She scolds while our girl just tries to play along as Hua Dai and Long prepare to bolt. Suddenly, Long lets out a yelp as things take a turn for the messy. She peed. Our girl screams, pointing at the baby while the woman delivers a swift smack to her head. What the hell are you doing? The woman bellows, clearly fed up with these amateurs. She demands they come inside to change the diaper, and our heroine realizes this is the perfect chance for a successful infiltration. The woman hands over a cloth to clean up the mess. She even offers to find some dry clothes for Long, telling her to strip off the wet ones and hand them over. The two girls share a silent, panicked look as the plan gets way more complicated than they expected. What are you waiting for? Hurry, take it off, the woman urges, leaving Long frozen in fear. Long is sweating bullets because if she takes off her shirt, the secret scales on her body will be exposed to the world. My big sister is very shy, I'll clean up her dirty clothes. Our heroine shouts, jumping in to block the woman's view. The woman sighs at the shy sister, giving them a moment of privacy. Our girl gives a thumbs up for the successful save and tells Long to hurry and look for clues while she changes. They can't believe their luck. This baby really is a tiny genius for getting them into the room. Hurry and change, then look for clues, our girl whispers, ready to get to work. While Long handles the clothes, our heroine starts scanning the room, but it seems like there are no clues to be found. But the piece is shattered when the woman kicks the door open, screaming, "You mother F***, seek her." Our heroine lunges forward to cover Long, terrified that the woman has seen the scales on her back. She pins Long against the wall, desperate to keep her secret hidden. But it turns out the woman is just mad at our girl's total incompetence. "Look at you, idiot, don't you know how to put on a diaper?" She yells, grabbing our heroine to teach her a lesson. Poor Long is left behind, her heart racing as she tries to process the near discovery. The woman takes one look at the baby, wrapped up like a mummy, and loses it. Our heroine takes deep breaths, trying to keep her cool while the woman works. Finally, the diaper is done, and the woman holds up the child with pride. She notes that the child looks just like her own daughter did when she was small. "It's good to have a daughter," the woman muses before asking if our girl also has a son. The mood shifts instantly as the woman mentions she had a son. He died when he was only 7 after falling from a tree, and she blames his misbehavior for the tragedy. She tells our girl not to worry, saying it was a long time ago, but the pain is clearly still there. The woman admits she burned all his photos and belongings so his sister wouldn't have to grieve. Our girl is stunned, there's absolutely nothing left of the boy. We see a flashback of the daughter, Yao Ling, who remembers being bullied by other kids for her weight. Her big brother was the only one who ever stood up for her, telling the others to leave her alone. He promised she wouldn't be bullied anymore, being the protector she always needed. Yao Ling remembers being willful and wanting a bigger fort, which she believes led to his death. Years later, the guilt is so heavy that she's tried to forget he ever existed. She can't even remember his face anymore, a tragic consequence of her mother's protection. But lately, she's been dreaming of the night before he left, feeling her very self start to shrivel away. "Maybe I should just disappear like this," she thinks, lost in the shadows of the past. The redhead boy is clearly having a crisis, but our girl isn't having any of it, delivering a sharp slap to snap him out of it. "What's with your expression?" she snaps, refusing to let him wallow in his own pity. She demands to know if he's really just going to give up and let himself disappear. Thankfully, her cool-headed friend chimes in, insisting it's not time to throw in the towel just yet. The kids are stunned as she pulls out a mysterious scrap of paper. She found it tucked away in an old Monopoly box back in his room, and it looks like it's been hidden for years. Our heroine realizes it's a treasure map and asks the boy if he's the one who drew it. Her friend smiles, noting that if it wasn't him, there's a high possibility his big brother was the artist behind the sketch. The map looks like a toddler's doodle, and our girl wonders if they can even find anything with such a mess. But her friend has a magical trick up her sleeve, pulling out some hare's tail grass. She explains that things woven with this specific grass can actually come to life. With a bit of magic, the woven grass begins to glow and move on its own. "In that case, it can take us where we want to go," she says confidently as the little creature begins to lead the way. Our girl is totally smitten by how cute and capable this little glowing guide is. However, things get serious as they head out, and her friend tells her to head home while she handles the rest. Our girl is immediately offended, asking, "Why don't you trust me?" Her friend thinks to herself that she just wanted to be seen as a reliable partner rather than a burden. But our heroine isn't backing down, shouting that she doesn't want to rest alone. She wants to be right there by her side. "Because you're always taking on everything alone," she tells her, "you should rely on me a little." The friend is absolutely floored by this sudden show of affection. She blushes and asks, "Could it be if you like me?" Our girl's heart skips a beat as she turns beet red, completely caught off guard by the question. After a moment of awkward silence, her friend clarifies that she meant they're friends, so of course she likes her. She's actually overjoyed, admitting that this is the first time she's ever had a real friend. As they venture deeper into the dark forest, our girl's mind is racing. She wonders why she was so incredibly worried about her friend in the first place. Suddenly, the glowing grass guide stops dead in its tracks. Her friend points to the ground, suggesting that what they're looking for is right beneath them. Our girl's imagination goes wild, terrified that they might be standing over a corpse. She grips her friend's clothes for dear life, shaking like a leaf in the wind. Despite the spooky vibes, they start digging, though our girl is worried they're disrespecting a grave. They pull up what looks like an urn, but it turns out to be an old candy box. Her friend smiles, realizing it's actually a childhood treasure chest. It seems the big brother buried their shared treasures here as part of a game long ago. "Could this be the tree he fell from?" she whispers, the mystery finally beginning to unravel. Hua Dai looks down at the ground and softly whispers that she finally found it. Our boy Yao Ling is totally confused, asking what on earth she's talking about. She calls him over, holding a weathered piece of paper in her hand. It turns out to be an old photo of them as children, and she knows it must be incredibly important to him. As she hands it over, the nostalgia hits like a truck. Yao Ling stares at the image of his big brother, his heart aching as he whispers, "Jeej." He can barely believe he's holding this memory in his hands. Suddenly, a rustling sound comes from the trees, and a voice calls out his name. Yao Ling looks up, his eyes widening in shock. Perched on a branch is the spirit of his brother, grinning ear to ear as he says, "You finally found this place." The ghost boy hops down, admitting he was worried Yao Ling wouldn't show up. While the girls are absolutely losing their minds and screaming about ghosts, the spirit just looks at Yao Ling and asks if he's gotten smaller. He laughs it off, noting that since he's so tiny now, he probably can't even climb the treehouse anymore. The mood turns somber as the brother looks down, apologizing for being useless and failing to finish their secret base. He wanted to make something that would make everyone jealous, but he's just glad he didn't drag Yao Ling into his fate. Yao Ling can't hold it back anymore. The tears start streaming down his face as he screams for his brother. He throws himself into a hug, sobbing that he's so sorry for everything. "Thank you for everything, I've always loved you," he cries out through his tears. Our poor boy is a total mess. His brother just smiles warmly, patting his head and telling him to be a good boy and stop crying. Hua Dai watches the scene from the sidelines, her expression softening. Under the glow of the full moon, she can't help but smile at the touching reunion. As the night progresses, the brother jokes that Yao Ling is a real adult now, though he warns him not to be too gluttonous or he'll never get married. But then his protective side flares up, and he growls that if anyone dares to treat Yao Ling badly, he'll personally get rid of them. He makes a terrifying face to prove his point, which actually makes Yao Ling crack a smile and agree. As the first light of dawn begins to break, the spirit fades, telling them he has to go. Yao Ling panics, reaching out and begging him not to leave. But his brother reassures him, saying he's staying right here in this tree. "You can come visit me every night," he promises with a final wave. After he vanishes, Yao Ling stands there in the silence, looking a bit lonely. He knows his brother was just acting mature for his sake, even though he's probably scared of being alone too. Our heroine starts shivering from the cold, suggesting they head back, but Hua Dai stops her. "Hold on, I have something for you," she says, sounding a bit shy. She asks for her hand, and while our girl is wondering what's going on, Hua Dai tells her she's done. Our heroine looks down, completely baffled, only to see a beautiful handmade flower ring on her finger. Hua Dai blushes, explaining that she wanted to give her a gift since they're friends and she's helped her so much. Our girl is touched, but Hua Dai goes a step further, confessing how much she admires her and wants to be just like her. This sends our heroine into a comedic panic, waving her hands and shouting, "Don't be like me." Hua Dai looks up with shimmering eyes, her face bright red, and asks, "So, do you like it?" Suddenly, our heroine's heart starts going badump, her face heating up. She starts spiraling, wondering how things ever got to this point. Hua Dai leans in closer, her voice barely a whisper, and asks the ultimate question, "Could it be you like me?" Our girl's heart is practically beating out of her chest as the realization finally hits her. Hua Dai is being a bit of a drama queen, complaining that the sun is so bright she's going blind. Yao Ling starts panicking, but our girl is just messing with her. "I just said the sun is too bright, why are you panicking?" she teases. Life is actually looking up for our heroine. Thanks to Yao Ling's connections, she managed to snag a job as a middle school music teacher. She's finally standing on her own 2 feet, greeting her students with a smile. Everything is going smoothly, she thinks, convinced she can finally live a normal life. But then a heavenly scent hits her beef hot pot. Her stomach wins the argument immediately, and she tells the shop owner, "Boss, I'll take one." Disaster strikes when she realizes she forgot Long is the one holding onto her credit card. She has to awkwardly back out, telling the boss she doesn't want it anymore because it's too much to eat alone. Deep down, she feels like a poor married man whose wife has taken away his spending money. She freezes, realizing she just thought of Long as her asterisk wife asterisk. How could I use that metaphor? She wonders, her face flushing. Ever since that night, her heart beats like crazy whenever she thinks of Long, but she's still too afraid to admit what kind of like they were talking about. Seeking a distraction, she sneaks into the nurse's office to beg Yao Ling for snacks to comfort her tired soul. Yao Ling isn't having it, snapping, "Don't call me fat, I'll never feed you again," while they bicker over the snack stash. Hua Dai's eyes widen as she spots an old photo on the desk. She points at a kid in the picture and asks, "No, look at the photo. Did we know each other before?" As they look closer at the faded image, the realization hits like a truck. "Why does this look like me?" Hua Dai asks, pointing to a little girl with twin tails. Yao Ling confirms it's her, but Hua Dai has absolutely no memory of it. A dark memory flashes in her mind, the reservoir, the water she remembers drowning, but the rest is a blank. Then she looks at the girl standing right next to her in the photo. "Long," she gasps. She can't understand why she has no memory of playing with Long as a child. Neither of them recognized each other when they reunited as adults, leaving Hua Dai to wonder where their memories could have gone. Meanwhile, we see a younger Long pouncing through the grass, frustrated when her target escapes. Her older brother figure, Yishin Ji, approaches and offers her a piece of fruit. Long is currently troubled, venting to him that she feels like Hua Dai has been avoiding her lately. She trusts Yishin because he's looked after her since she was a kid. Yishin sits her down, asking, "What do you think of her?" Long's answer is pure and simple: "I want to feed her every day because she looks so happy while eating." But Yishin's expression darkens. He warns her that she's too naive and might have let a wolf into her house. Long thinks he's just being strange, but Yishin drops a final, chilling hint: "I know a little more than you think." Yishin looks her dead in the eye and warns her that she's being way too naive, telling her she might have let a literal wolf into her house. But our girl isn't buying it. She remembers how Hua Dai has only ever gotten stronger to protect her. "She would never hurt me," she thinks, holding onto the memory of her very first friend. When they finally get back to the house, she hears a ton of laughter coming from inside. She pushes the door open to find a full-blown feast happening, with everyone screaming about wanting more meat. "What's going on today? It's so lively," she asks, totally stunned by the crowd. Apparently, Hua Dai called everyone over for a massive hot pot session, and obviously no one was going to turn down free food. Our heroine can't help but smile, thinking about how much brighter her life has become since Hua Dai showed up. But when Hua Dai looks over and beams at her, our girl quickly looks away, her heart heavy. She's been feeling depressed lately because while Hua Dai is looking for friendship, our girl admits she's gotten a lot more greedy for something deeper. "What should I do?" she wonders, staring up at the vast night sky. She decides to take a walk to clear her head, shivering in the cold night. She even considers getting a boyfriend just to distract herself from these confusing feelings. Suddenly, a swish-swish sound cuts through the silence, and she feels the terrifying sensation of someone lurking right behind her. She starts speed walking, panicking that a criminal might be loose in the countryside. The sounds get louder and faster until she finally loses it, shielding her head and screaming, "Ah, don't kill me." But instead of a killer, she finds a cheerful blonde boy standing there chirping, "Play with me." He's holding a little bag of fish and looks completely harmless, much to her confusion. "Okay, what do you want to play?" she sighs, just relieved she's not about to be murdered. But then out of nowhere, the kid leans in and gives her a surprise peck on the cheek. Meanwhile, Hua Dai is back at the shop fanning a fire, looking totally lost in thought. Her granny asks if she had a fight with the loud blonde girl, but Hua Dai explains that they didn't fight, she's just being avoided. Granny gives her some classic advice: take the initiative and tempt her with things she likes. Hua Dai starts listing them off: meat, cold beer, and cute things. She decides she needs to be cuter and rushes off, promising Granny she'll pick our girl up from work. Back at the school, our girl is trying to teach, but she's completely distracted by how weird that encounter with the boy was. She remembers how she yelled at him, "I should be the one crying." The boy had just looked up at her with those eyes, looking delicate and charming. She felt bad for being so harsh, but then he straight up asked her to stay with him. The kid is relentless, telling her he's going to chase her, which sends her straight into a red alert panic. For the next few days, he's always there, waiting at the school gate with a happy smile. It's gotten so bad that even her students are starting to notice she's distracted, whispering that their teacher must be in love. "Love, yeah right," she scoffs, wanting no part of this drama. But as she leaves the school, a bicycle suddenly squeaks to a halt in front of her. It's Hua Dai standing there with the sweetest smile on her face. "Hua Dai, I'm here to pick you up, Tilda," she says, and suddenly all that stress just melts away. Long shows up like the perfect angel she is, telling our girl she came specifically to pick her up. She even reaches out to fix Huadai's messy hair, but the tension is way too high. Huadai flinches away, her brain screaming that she's a total idiot for being so awkward. Inside, she's spiraling, wondering what on earth she's doing. She feels like it's impossible to even be near Long if she can't be honest about her feelings. She's terrified that Long only sees her as a friend and that her like is completely different. The pressure from her parents is already crushing her, and she's scared of what they'd think if she liked a girl. She's literally walking on a minefield of her own insecurities. By being a coward, she realizes she's just hurting the person she cares about most. She hates how pathetic she's being, especially since she's the older one in this dynamic. Finally, she decides she has to make a move, just not the one we wanted. She stops and tells Long she's not going home yet. Then she drops the biggest lie of the century. I forgot to tell you I have a boyfriend. Long looks like she just got hit by a truck while Huadai doubles down, saying she has a date and won't be back for dinner. Long tries to keep her composure, mentioning she already made Huadai's favorite food, but our girl is already running away. She shouts, I'm leaving Long standing there in a daze. Long is absolutely heartbroken, thinking Huadai has just moved on to someone who matters more than her. As she pedals away, she can't get those words out of her head, I have a boyfriend. She starts to realize that beneath the sadness, she's actually furious. Meanwhile, Huadai tracks down her golden retriever stalker and demands he come out of the bushes. The guy, who's basically a human puppy, pops out with flowers and a smile. She doesn't even know his name, but he introduces himself as Bobo. He's clearly obsessed with her, practically vibrating with joy. Huadai, still starving and spiteful, tells him he needs to take her out for a meal. He agrees but asks if they can play afterward, making Huadai wonder if he's actually missing a few screws. He leads her to a house, and Huadai is actually impressed for a second. But then he starts sneaking in through the back door like a common thief. It turns out he doesn't even live here. A little kid brings him stolen chicken legs, and Bobo is acting like it's a 5-star feast. The little brother even offers Huadai some candy because they're out of actual food. Huadai loses it, screaming, I'm not a beggar. She can't believe he brought her here to scavenge. But Bobo doesn't care about her pride, he just wants to pounce on her and play. She is absolutely fuming, wondering how her life ended up like this. Hours later, our girl is walking home, her stomach growling and her dignity in tatters. The house is dark, which is weird because Long always leaves a light on for her. She creeps inside and flips the switch. The table is covered in all her favorite dishes, cold and untouched. Suddenly, Long appears on the stairs, asking, I was looking for you, why didn't you eat? But then the vibe shifts from sad to terrifying. Long holds up a small trinket and asks, why was this in your drawer? It's the phone charm Huadai claimed she lost. The lie is exposed and Long looks absolutely devastated. Why did you lie? Why did you do that? Our girl demands, her voice trembling as she confronts Huadai on the stairs. She reveals the bitter truth. She knows Huadai's credit is so ruined that she can't even open a bank account. Huadai freezes, her heart sinking as she realizes her mask has finally slipped. Yes, I've been lying to you since the beginning about why I came here, she admits, the confession cutting through the air like a knife. She scoffs at her own fake persona, mocking the idea that she was ever a writer just collecting stories. Huadai doubles down on the villainy, claiming the lost phone charm was just a trick to keep our girl close, and admitting she even stole the pearl tree. It was all just for money, you fool. She screams, shoving past our heroine and fleeing into the night. But as soon as she's alone, the facade crumbles. She collapses in the hallway, sobbing damn it over and over again. Our girl watches her go, realizing with a pang of regret, I made her cry. Huadai is spiraling, convinced she can't even maintain the pretense of friendship anymore. She believes this is her retribution for her own greed, a disease that has caused her to constantly hurt the people she actually cherishes. I don't want to hurt others anymore, she whispers, deciding to disappear for good. Suitcase in hand, she prepares to walk out of our girl's life. But as she heads for the exit, she spots something strange on the roof. It's our heroine perched calmly among the tiles. When Huadai asks what on earth she's doing, she explains she's releasing lesions into the morning sky as part of a cycle of energy. Huadai doesn't have the heart to stay. She leaves her debit card for the rent, unable to even voice a proper apology. Goodbye, she says, leaving the word hanging in the cold air. She heads to the bus station, certain that our girl never wants to see her face again. As she stands in the crowd, watching the buses pull in, she tells herself it's finally over. The scene shifts to a misty mountain memory. An old man is trekking through the tall grass when he spots something shimmering. He picks up a beautiful, iridescent scale, marveling at its rarity. Suddenly, a loud bang echoes through the woods. Out of the mist, a young, dark-haired girl appears. It's our heroine as a child, or perhaps something more mystical covered in those same scales. The man assumes she's been abandoned and offers her a fresh start. I can give you a new name, he says gently. Let's call you Long. Back in the present, Long wakes up to a cold, empty house. It's been half a month since Huadai vanished, and though the town is busy as usual, her heart feels hollow. Everyone knows Huadai is gone, but that doesn't stop the local pest from showing up with a cheerful good morning. Long is reaching her breaking point. She's tired of things being left unsaid. Does she think this fixed things? She fumes, ripping at the grass in frustration. She refuses to let these unspoken words rot inside her forever. Calling Hua Dai cunning, she decides she won't let her get away that easily. She needs answers. She starts packing her things, determined to make everything clear. She finally understands the nature of Hua Dai's illness and won't let her run away from the cure. With a sharp look, she tells the boy to take his medicine and then get out of her way. Come in quickly, she commands, dragging him inside as she prepares for her next move. The weather matches our girl's mood perfectly, gray, rainy, and totally depressing. She stares at her phone, reading yet another rejection letter from a job she desperately wanted. I've applied to dozens of jobs and haven't been picked, she sighs, feeling like she's hit rock bottom. Suddenly, a commotion breaks out nearby as people scream about a fare evader. Before she can even blink, a figure blurs past her in a total whoosh moment. It's a girl with long black hair, and our heroine's eyes go wide as she recognizes her. Without thinking, she lets her umbrella fall to the ground and reaches out. Grab, she manages to catch the runner by the arm, refusing to let her get away again. Come with me, she yells, pulling the girl away from the crowd, but they both end up tumbling onto the wet pavement. Are you okay? The black-haired girl asks, looking genuinely panicked. Our girl ignores the sting in her leg and gasps, I'm fine. She stares up and demands, why are you here? The black-haired girl explains she has something important to say, then suddenly points to her backpack and shouts, look at this. Out pops a fluffy golden dog looking totally unbothered. Our girl is beyond confused. A dog? Were you being chased off the train because you had a dog in your bag? She asks. The girl explains that she had to run because they wouldn't let him on and introduces the pup as Bobo. Our heroine is floored, realizing the truth. What, you turned him into a dog? No, I just restored him to his original form, the girl corrects her. It turns out Bobo lost his owner and got sick because no one would play with him anymore. He wanted to talk so badly that his disease actually turned him into a human boy. Our girl's face goes flat with disbelief. You came all the way here just to tell me that I was attracted to a dog? She deadpans. The black-haired girl admits she used Bobo to track our girl's scent to find her. Indeed, I am angry, she says, her expression turning dead serious. She explains that she's never been this mad in her entire life. Because it's you, because the liar was you, she says, looking her straight in the eye. Bobo just sits there between them, probably wondering why the humans are being so dramatic. She continues, saying our girl was the first person besides her teacher who didn't mind her scales. She remembers how our girl was the first person to ever truly want to be her friend. I came here to talk to you because I like you a lot, Hua Dai, she confesses, her voice finally softening. She's cherished every moment they spent together, even if she thinks it was all just a fake game to Hua Dai. I wanted to say goodbye formally, so I came here, she says, looking like her heart is breaking. She forces a sad smile, saying she feels much better now that everything is out in the open. Goodbye, this time it's goodbye for real, she says, turning to walk away with Bobo. Hua Dai panics, her heart racing. I don't want this, don't go, she cries out. She can't let it end on a goodbye. Are you really leaving like this? She screams. She realizes that this girl is making it impossible to stay away from her. She lunges forward and throws her arms around her in a desperate back hug. Don't go, she begs, clinging to her. Then she finally lets the truth burst out. I like you, I like you. The black-haired girl Long stands there frozen, her eyes wide with absolute shock as the rain continues to fall around them. Hua Dai is absolutely losing it on Liang's back, sobbing that she needs to say something already. Our girl is pouring her heart out, asking if her feelings are disgusting or if she's just going to be thrown out like trash. Liang suddenly stops in her tracks, looking completely stunned and blushing hard as she tells Hua Dai to just come down. Hua Dai is confused, but before she can process it, Liang lets go, and our poor heroine face plants right onto the ground. Liang bluntly tells her there will be no sticking, leaving Hua Dai to remember a warning that once she likes something, she won't be able to let go. Hua Dai realizes with a sinking heart that this isn't the romantic moment she hoped for. I hate you, I told you before that I hate you, she screams while throwing a tantrum. But Liang isn't actually being cold. She calls Hua Dai a coward and reaches out a hand, telling her to get up because the ground is wet. The tension finally snaps as they fall into a deep emotional embrace. As they hold each other tight, Liang softly whispers that it's time to go home, and Hua Dai finally finds her smile again. On the bus ride home, Liang ends up nodding off on Hua Dai's shoulder. Watching her sleep, Hua Dai beams, thinking to herself how lucky she is that this wasn't all just a dream. Once they hop off the bus, Hua Dai is back to her cheerful self, demanding Liang's cooking and some cotton candy. But their sweet moment is interrupted when a mysterious woman with stylish hair accidentally bumps into them. This stranger is a total character, immediately trying to sell them fairy grass to wipe away their bad luck. Liang is instantly suspicious, demanding to know who this lady is. The woman strikes a pose, introducing herself as Ah Feng, a woman as hard to catch as the wind. Our girls are clearly not impressed by the theatrics, but Ah Feng claims she's a powerful doctor who specializes in treating strange illnesses. She leans in close to Liang, noting that they might be colleagues because Liang smells like medicine. Liang is shocked because she didn't think there were any other doctors in this small town. Ah Feng explains she's a world traveler who finally returned to her roots to find an old friend. Just then Yishin Ji shows up and Liang calls out to him in surprise. Ah Feng immediately starts teasing Yishin, asking if he's hitting on her before realizing he doesn't recognize her because the last time they met, she was only 10 years old. It's been 19 years, yet she looks exactly the same, which sends our girls into a state of pure shock. It turns out she was an old friend of Hua Dai's grandfather. They visit the old man's grave where Ah Feng pays her respects, calling him stubborn and honest. She's surprised to learn Hua Dai is his grandkid, as she hadn't heard he had any family left. Switching back to her chaotic energy, she teases Yishin again, asking if they should date now that he's a fine man. He isn't having it, calling her an old lady, which earns him a painful pinch on the cheek. Claiming she's exhausted from all the talking, Ah Feng asks for an invitation to their house. Liang is hesitant, but Hua Dai is already sold. Of course, you can stay over, she chirps, pulling the mysterious doctor along. Hua Dai is hopeful because this woman claims she can finally cure them and explain the mysteries that have been haunting their lives. Our girl is being a total sweetheart as usual, telling the newcomer that she's more than welcome to stay with them. But the mood shifts faster than a villainess's plot when the guest asks if it's really okay. Ah Feng is already on high alert, glaring daggers as he warns her, "You better not do anything weird, especially to Long." When the guest asks who Long is to him, he gets all protective, declaring that he's her family and has a sacred obligation to protect her. He even gives Long a tender head pat, telling her, "If that old woman causes you trouble, just let me know." This sends our heroine into a jealous pout, screaming that Long is her family too. When the guest asks what her relationship with Long really is, our girl gets all flustered, blushing as she stammers that it's a secret. The drama takes a dark turn as the scene shifts to Samar Ah Feng. Suddenly, we're plunged into a chilling vision of bubbles and a sinking shoe painting a tragic picture. We see a young girl in a pink dress drifting into the dark abyss of the water. Our heroine snaps awake in a cold sweat, haunted by that same recurring nightmare. "I have no memory of drowning," she whispers to herself, but the fear and pain in the dream feel so incredibly real. Even with Long sleeping soundly right next to her, she can't shake the feeling that something is missing from her past. Suddenly, a soft knock echoes through the room. The door creaks open to reveal the redhead guest wearing a knowing smirk. She's sharp, telling our girl, "Your eyes told me you'd have a lot of things to ask." Our girl doesn't waste time, getting straight to the point. "Since you lived here for so long, do you know who Long's parents are?" But the redhead doesn't have the answers she's looking for. Our heroine reveals that she was told she had an accident at 8 years old, but her memories of it, and the childhood photos showing her and Long together, are a complete blank. The guest suggests that forgetting might be a protection mechanism, or worse, that someone tampered with her head. To help, she pulls out a jar containing what looks like a salted fish. Our girl is understandably confused, but the guest reveals it's actually a mirage. It's a compressed water dragon, and its power can reveal exactly what her heart wants to know. Our girl is skeptical but desperate, showering the guest with praise and calling her awesome just to get the help she needs. They head deep into the spooky, mist-covered forest in the middle of the night. The guest points to a dark, freezing pool of water and tells her to walk right in. Our girl is shivering, complaining about the freezing weather, but the redhead just smirks and asks, "Don't you want your answer?" Stealing her resolve, our girl dips her foot into the icy ripples. She's freezing her socks off and questioning her life choices. But the redhead raises the jar, declaring that the truth is finally about to begin. Hua Dai and Ah Feng are standing in the middle of a literal nightmare as a tiny shadow in the water starts to grow. The ripples expand with an ominous energy that makes the hair on the back of their necks stand up. "It's getting bigger," Hua Dai whispers, her heart sinking as she realizes this isn't just some stray fish. Suddenly, a massive obsidian dragon erupts from the depths, looming over our poor heroine like a harbinger of doom. The beast is gargantuan, dwarfing the girls as red lightning begins to tear through the darkened sky. Back at the village, the boys see the sky bleeding red and realize the piece is officially over. Long bolts upright in her bed, her instincts screaming that something has gone horribly wrong. She looks out the window at the swirling chaos, her face pale with dread. Meanwhile, back at the water, Ah Feng is trying to keep her cool, shouting at Hua Dai to look into the beast's mouth. "Think of your question in your mind," she yells, trying to force the ritual to continue despite the terrifying circumstances. But our girl is paralyzed, her voice failing her as she stammers into the void. The beast's massive red eye snaps open, locking onto them with a predatory glint. Ah Feng realizes too late that they've messed with something they can't control and tries to pull Hua Dai back. But it's too late. In a terrifying flash, the dragon lunges forward and swallows Hua Dai whole. "She was swallowed. Who said you could eat her? Spit her out." Ah Feng screams, desperately clawing at the air as the beast vanishes back into the depths. A massive explosion of water and energy rocks the area, signaling that a true disaster has begun. The sky erupts in a final, violent crack of red lightning that can be seen for miles. Long wakes up again, or maybe she never truly fell back asleep, as the sound of the crash echoes through the house. She rushes to the window, seeing the forest bathed in an eerie supernatural light. She reaches out to the empty spot in the bed, her heart freezing in her chest. Hua Dai, she gasps, realizing her worst fears have come true. By 7 a.m., the world looks like the end of days, with a heavy storm turning the morning sky into a bruised purple void. The younger kids are terrified, huddled by the windows as they wonder what happened to their big sisters. Yishin spots a figure sprinting through the rain toward the mountain and realizes the situation is critical. It's Long, and she isn't waiting for a plan or a raincoat. She's sprinting through the forest, her lungs burning as she screams Hua Dai's name into the wind. Disaster strikes when she loses her footing on the slick mud, tumbling down a jagged rocky slope. She hits the ground with a sickening thud, her clothes torn and her body battered. It hurts, she moans, clutching the earth as the rain lashes down on her. But the physical pain from the fall is nothing compared to the agony erupting from her spine. She feels her skin tearing as strange, shimmering scales begin to spread across her back and arms. Why now? What is happening to my body? She cries out, realizing her draconic blood is choosing the worst possible moment to awaken. She grits her teeth, forcing herself to stand because she refuses to give up. Ah Feng and Yishin finally find her, but Ah Feng is a sobbing mess. Yishin, Hua Dai, she stammers, unable to even finish the sentence. Ah Feng wails that Hua Dai was eaten by the mirage and is now submerged in the dark, cursed water. Yishin is horrified when he sees the dragon scales creeping up Long's neck and face. He tries to warn her that entering a mirage is a suicide mission, but Long has reached her breaking point. She stares at him with eyes that are losing their humanity, her voice dripping with desperation. The world without Hua Dai is meaningless, she declares. She's already lost her teacher. She'll tear the mirage apart with her bare hands before she loses Hua Dai too. Our girl wakes up in the middle of a watery abyss, but wait, she's not drowning. The water isn't cold. I can breathe normally, she thinks, completely bewildered. Then she spots a familiar face drifting nearby. Why is Long here? She wonders, swimming over to the girl she's been so worried about. Long is just as shocked to see her, asking if Hua Dai is okay. Our heroine is the one worried though, noticing that Long looks like she's been through the absolute ringer. Long is skeptical of the whole situation, thinking this might just be a cruel trick of the mind. Legend has it that the mirage's breath can cause hallucinations, she explains, wondering if they're actually inside the stomach of a monster. Suddenly, the scene shifts like a dream. We see a much younger Hua Dai with her grandpa. He's spinning a tall tale about a big fish monster that lives in the pool and listens to his stories every day. Little Hua Dai is totally sold on the idea, peering into the water and begging the monster to come out and play. Grandpa has to bribe her away with the promise of her favorite pork dish before she accidentally takes an unscheduled swim. Back in the present, Hua Dai feels a chill that has nothing to do with the water temperature. She leans in close to Long, whispering that they definitely aren't alone. Behind us, it feels like something is watching us, she says, her voice trembling. They grab each other's hands for support, bracing for the worst. When they finally gather the courage to look back, two massive, glowing eyes are staring right at them from the darkness. But instead of fear, Long feels a strange sensation. The burning pain on her back, the mark of her struggle, is finally starting to vanish. Another memory flashes by, revealing the moment their fates first intertwined. Grandpa is introducing a shy, timid little girl to Hua Dai. "This is Long, can she be your new friend?" he asks. Young Long is so nervous she's practically trying to phase through the old man's legs. "But our girl has always been a social butterfly. Then let's play together, I'm Hua Dai," she declares with a huge grin. They hold hands, and just like that, a bond is formed that spans years and even dimensions. Present-day Long watches these memories, and finally, the pieces of the puzzle click into place. "I never knew my origin. It turns out that I'm a dragon," she realizes, her voice filled with awe. As she embraces her true self, shimmering scales begin to bloom across her skin. The intensity of the revelation is too much for our girl, who suddenly feels a wave of exhaustion hit her like a truck. Her eyes flutter shut as she drifts into the white void of unconsciousness. Back on the surface, the others are absolutely losing it, calling out for the girls as a massive whirlpool forms in the lake. Suddenly, the water explodes as something massive breaks the surface. A majestic white dragon rises from the depths, its scales glittering like pearls under the sky. Hua Dai pops up right next to it, looking like the proudest best friend in history as she points up and shouts, "This is Long." A majestic white dragon soars through the dark sky, clearing the heavy clouds with a single sweep of its tail. Down below, the children are absolutely losing it, shouting that the dragon actually made the storm go away. Our girl is frozen in awe as the massive, glowing creature lowers its head right to her level, its whiskers fluttering in the wind. Yishin, ever the cool-headed one, reaches out to gently pet the mythical beast. "I wasn't willing to believe it before," he admits with a soft smile, "but you really are a dragon." Meanwhile, the resident hater is fuming in the background, realizing the old man wasn't just eccentric, he was literally keeping a dragon by his side this whole time. The dragon looks a little panicked though, asking Yishin the million-dollar question, "How do I change back?" Luckily, Yishin has the hookup. He reveals that someone anticipated this exact moment and entrusted him with a special solution. He pours the liquid over the dragon's head and the transformation begins. In a flurry of white scales and light, the massive beast shrinks down. Suddenly, the dragon is gone and a very human-looking Long standing there in her pajamas. I changed back, she whispers, looking just as surprised as everyone else. Our heroine doesn't care about the logistics yet. She just lunges forward and pulls her friend into a massive hug, crying out her name. But once the emotions settle, she looks at Yishin with a serious face. So Yishin-ji, can you explain what's going on? She demands. Yishin sighs, scratching his head because he knows he's about to drop some serious lore. It's a long story, he warns. He takes us back to when he was just a 10-year-old kid. Back then, he had injured his foot and met a man named Grandpa Hua, who healed him with a strange powder he'd never seen before. Young Yishin was convinced the old man was a mountain immortal, so he started secretly following him around. Grandpa Hua didn't mind the tiny stalker. Instead, he showed Yishin weird black blobs and eventually asked him for a favor. Yishin, can you take the girls and play with them at the water reservoir? He asked. That was the day Yishin first met a feisty red-haired girl and a very shy black-haired girl hiding behind her. The red-haired girl explains she just met the little one herself. When Yishin tries to be friendly and asks for her name or who her parents are, the poor thing looks like she wants to melt into the ground. She cowers and hides, her golden eyes wide with fear. The other boys in the group are already being total jerks, scoffing that they've asked her a bunch of times and she won't talk, so she must be mute. But our red-haired queen isn't having any of that nonsense. She's not mute, she snaps, pulling the girl close. Her name is Long and she is my new little sister. Even with a protector, the other kids are still being judgmental, giving her the side eye as they head to the bridge to fish. One of the boys brought a camera and starts playing photographer, making everyone pose. While the other kids are making peace signs and smiling for the snap, Long is doing her best to stay out of the frame. She keeps avoiding the camera, which only makes the boy with the camera more annoyed. What are you doing? Why do you keep hiding? He demands, losing his patience. He declares that she's too unsociable and he doesn't want her to play with them anymore. To save the day, the red-haired girl suggests a group photo so Long won't feel so singled out. Long finally gives a tiny okay and Yishin gets ready to take the shot. He counts down 3, 2 and finally captures a rare moment of the whole group together. But kids can be cruel and the piece doesn't last. While they're setting up their bait, the mean boy starts pestering Long again. He asks if she's hot wearing long sleeves in the summer and warns her about heat stroke. Before she can even process what's happening, the little brat pours a whole bucket of water right over her head. Let me help you cool down, he mocks, while the red-haired girl screams at him to stop. But as the water soaks through her clothes, something in Long snaps. Her eyes begin to glow a menacing orange, and the next thing we know, the boy is screaming in pain. He's been knocked back, crying out about why she's hitting him, while the red-haired girl defends her, asking who told him to bully Long in the first place. Terrified by the power he just felt, the boy runs away, shrieking at the top of his lungs, she's a monster. The trauma of the past hits like a freight train as the local kids corner our girl, screaming at her to stay away. They call her a monster, and looking at the shimmering scales creeping up her arms, poor Long can only weep that she isn't what they say she is. Her golden eyes are wide with terror as Hua Dai looks on in absolute shock. Long tries to plead her case, but the rejection is physical, sending her spiraling into a breakdown. The pain of being seen as a freak by the one person she cared about is too much to bear. Don't come near me, she screams, losing control as she bolts away in a panic. But tragedy strikes in a heartbeat when Hua Dai loses her footing, tumbling over the stone railing and into the freezing water below. Long can only watch in horror as her friend disappears with a sickening crash. Years ago, the teacher stood in a hospital room, sighing as he thanked his disciple for the heads up. To prevent a total disaster, he made the heavy choice to erase the children's memories of that day. He believed it was better for them to forget each other entirely than to live with that trauma. If fate decides it, then they will meet again, he whispered, placing a sealing spell on Hua Dai's forehead. He watched over the sleeping girl, hoping this would give her a fresh start. The young disciple wasn't so sure, asking if this was truly for the best. The teacher explained that Hua Dai's family was moving to the city anyway, and it would be cruel to let her carry those terrifying memories into her new life. He looked at the unconscious Hua Dai, essentially severing the red thread of fate for her own protection. But the boy wasn't having it, begging the teacher not to erase his memories too. I won't tell anyone, I'll help you, he promised, desperate to stay by their side and even learn the magic his master possessed. The teacher just chuckled, calling him a silly boy and claiming he didn't know any magic at all. Still, he looked at the kid with a knowing smile, admitting he might actually need his help in the future. Back in the present, Hua Dai and Long are reeling as they hear the truth of their shared past. The disciple explains that after that day, the grandfather officially took him under his wing. He reveals that he spent years spying on the old man, only for the teacher to eventually hand him a medicine bottle. He was told that this medicine would one day be the key to protecting Long. Hua Dai realizes with a start that this was the very medicine that allowed her to return to her human form. It turns out the teacher knew all along that Long's scales weren't just some random illness. He had been making preparations for years, even if his methods seemed cryptic at the time. Hua Dai realizes that the old man had anticipated every single hurdle they would face. Even though he's gone, his wisdom was the invisible hand that guided them back to each other. Long clutches the bottle, her heart full as she realizes her teacher is still protecting her to this very day. "Thank you, teacher," she whispers with a soft, tearful smile. Hua Dai tries to lighten the mood, joking that she definitely didn't live up to the old man's expectations. Long is confused, but Hua Dai just smiles, remembering how the grandfather wasn't even sure if fate would bring them back together. They stand together under the open sky, the bond between them finally restored and stronger than ever. Long looks at her friend, her cheeks dusting with a beautiful blush. She gives Hua Dai a smile so radiant it could light up the entire world. 3 months pass in the blink of an eye, and the hills are covered in beautiful cherry blossoms. The area is packed with people who have come to pay their respects to the events of the past season. Our girls feel a little awkward being there, labeled as the culprits behind all the chaos, but they're just happy to be together. The disciple is busy counting cups for their picnic, getting annoyed when he realizes he brought an extra one. He snaps at the silver-haired ghost of the teacher who has been hanging around since morning, invisible to everyone else. "Stay away from me," he grumbles while the teacher just laughs, asking if he's really the only one who can see him. Finally, it's time for a celebration, and the group clinks their cups together in a joyful toast. It's a chaotic picnic, with Hua Dai yelling about someone stealing the last piece of BBQ pork. Long just watches the madness, sipping her drink and feeling a pang of guilt. She apologizes for being useless since she still hasn't been able to fully heal Hua Dai's hands. Hua Dai just laughs it off, looking at her with nothing but pure affection. Her smile is so warm and genuine that it catches Long completely off guard. Long can't help but blush, looking away as the sun begins to set on their perfect day. As the group starts to pack up and head down the hill, Long calls out to Hua Dai to walk slower, worried she'll lose her way in the dark. But Hua Dai just turns back with a cheeky, confident grin. "Don't worry," she says, her eyes sparkling with love. "As long as I follow the scent of your medicine, I can always find my way home." And just like that, under the starlit sky, their long journey finally finds its beautiful, happy ending.